Li Mei's Sword of Destiny. Chapter 1036. What's wrong? Qin Feiyong turned his head and looked at him suspiciously. The inner demon said discontentedly, I saved you after all. Shouldn't you let me go out and have some fun? Haven't you been having fun for so long? Qin Feiyong frowned. How long has it been? At least give me a day. The inner demon said. This? Qin Feiyong hesitated. I say you can't be like this. We agreed that I would go out and get some fresh air when I have time, but it's been so long and there's no reaction at all. If you hadn't gone mad this time, I'm afraid you wouldn't have thought of me even after a few hundred years. The inner demons were very unhappy. Qin Feiyong was quite embarrassed. Indeed, most of the time he simply forgot about the existence of the inner demons. The inner demon said impatiently, Can you do it or not? If you can't do it, don't blame me for hitting you when you're down next time. Qin Feiyong smiled helplessly and nodded, okay, as you wish, but I still have to tell the white-eyed wolf first, in case they do something stupid. The inner demon sneered. They will do something stupid? You underestimate them too much. I'm afraid now they are planning how to get rid of me. Isn't this what you asked for? Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes. Wouldn't it be fine if he just told the white-eyed wolf the truth directly? Why did he have to tease them? TSK. I don't care about those little bastards. But then again, you'd better not use the kill formula so easily in the future. Even if you want to use it, you can't use it for more than half an hour. The inner demon said. Half an hour. Qin Feiyong lowered his head and pondered. The inner demon said, According to my observation, half an hour should be the limit. Limit? Qin Feiyong mumbled. He looked up at the inner demons and said, Say if you activate the kill formula next time, will this happen? Me. The inner demons were stunned. They had never thought about this before. Qin Feiyong pondered and said, Since you can absorb killing intent and baleful aura, it means that the kill character formula is not a threat to you. Right. I am the inner demons. Not only will these killing intent and evil spirits not affect me, but they will also make me stronger. The inner demons interrupted Qin Feiyong and nodded repeatedly. Then, in the future when I need to activate the kill formula, you will be in control of this body. Qin Feiyong smiled. Although the kill formula had side effects, as long as the inner demons were present, these side effects could be completely ignored. It's my pleasure. The inner demons also laughed. Outside, time trickled by. Whoosh! Suddenly, accompanied by the sound of something breaking through the air, a black figure broke through the air like lightning. He's here. Viper and the gorgeous woman looked up. Wisps of light flashed in the depths of their eyes. It was a young man in black. He was very short, estimated to be only about 1.5 meters tall. His body was also very thin. He could even be described as skinny as a match. His appearance was also very ugly. He had a pointy mouth and monkey cheeks. He winked like a little monkey. Moreover, his skin was extremely dark, as if he had smeared a layer of pot ash on his body. At the same time, Qin Feiyong also opened his eyes. His blood-red eyes were filled with a shocking bloody aura. Obviously, now the inner demons were still in control of this body. He is Dan Wangkai? When he saw the young man in black, the inner demon's Qin Feiyong's face suddenly became strange. No, he is the black monkey. Although he looks ugly, his strength is very terrifying. He ranks in the top 5 of the Qinghai 10 heroes. Viper secretly explained. Black monkey. The inner demon's Qin Feiyong smiled mockingly. This person's image and name were quite suitable. Whoosh! After a few breaths, the black monkey landed in front of Viper and glanced at the sea below. He was surprised and asked, Where is Viper Island? Why is it gone? It's a long story. Viper sighed deeply. The black monkey glanced at Qin Feiyong, who was sitting not far away, and asked suspiciously, Who is he? A friend. Viper said vaguely, You Viper have a friend? The black monkey seemed to have discovered a new continent. His eyes were shining and full of curiosity. Viper's face darkened. He said angrily, What do you mean? Can't I, Viper, have a few friends? Yes. The black monkey chuckled and said, Tell me, why are you looking for me? Viper said, I found a treasure, but I don't know what it is. I want you to help me identify it. Treasure? The black monkey's eyes lit up and urged, "Take it out and let me see." "Wait." After saying that, Viper winked at the gorgeous woman and took out his chinkuan bag, pretending to look for it. The black monkey's attention was focused on Viper's chinkuan bag, and did not notice that the gorgeous woman took out a dagger. "Did you find it? Are you messing with me?" Seeing that Viper did not take out the so-called treasure, the black monkey lost his patience and a ferocious aura crept up between his brows. Viper looked up at him and sighed. "Brother monkey, don't blame me. I was forced to do this." "What do you mean?" The black monkey looked at him in confusion. However, the next moment, he felt a pain in his abdomen. Looking down, he saw a dagger piercing through his abdomen. Whoosh! He turned around and looked at the gorgeous woman with killing intent in his eyes. "I'm sorry." The gorgeous woman smiled charmingly and retreated to the side after pulling out the dagger. Immediately, blood spurted out from the black monkey's abdomen. His aura dissipated quickly, and he was reduced to a cripple in the blink of an eye. The black monkey immediately turned to Viper and said angrily, "Old poison, how dare you plot against me?" Viper shrugged and said innocently, "I told you I was forced to do this." "Forced?" The black monkey was shocked. Who had the ability to force the 10 heroes of the Blue Sea to do this? While the black monkey was still in shock, Viper reached out his hand and grabbed the black monkey's clothes. Like a little chick, he twisted the black monkey and walked toward Qin Feiyang. "Viper, what are you doing? Let me go." The black monkey roared in anger. However, when it glanced at Qin Feiyang from the corner of its eyes, it suddenly thought of something and stared at Qin Feiyang. Could it be him? But this person was only a 3-star battle saint. How could he force the old poison? Viper walked in front of Qin Feiyang and said respectfully, "Master, please punish me." "Master?" The black monkey was stunned. He suddenly turned to Viper and roared, "What's going on?" An 8-star battle saint, one of the Blue Sea's 10 heroes, actually called a 3-star battle saint as his master. Wasn't this too ridiculous? If he didn't hear it with his own ears, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. "You'll know what's going on later." Viper smiled coldly. "Bastard, submitting to a 3-star battle saint, do you still deserve to be one of the Blue Sea's 10 heroes? I'm really ashamed of you." The black monkey roared. Viper was also angry and roared, "Do you think I want to? But some things are destined and can't be changed." Speaking of this, Viper snorted and said disdainfully, "Don't be in a hurry to scold me, because later you'll be like me, obediently submitting to my master." "Submitting to him? Stop dreaming. Even if I die, I won't submit to a 3-star battle saint." The black monkey sneered and looked at Qin Feiyang with contempt. "Is that so?" The inner demons, Qin Feiyang, grinned and his eyes flashed. "Yes, you'd better kill me now. Otherwise, after I repair my Qi, I won't let you go." The black monkey said. "Then I'd like to see if your bones are that hard." Qin Feiyang formed a seal with both hands. A slave seal quickly condensed and entered the black monkey's head like lightning. "Ah!" The black monkey suddenly screamed and felt that its head was about to explode. But soon, then the pain disappeared. Qin Feiyang took out a spirit sea pill and threw it to the black monkey. He said playfully, "Hurry up and repair your Qi. I'm still waiting for you to kill me." "You're actually giving me a spirit sea pill? It seems like you're really not afraid of death. Haven't you heard that letting the tiger return to the mountain will cause endless trouble?" The black monkey caught the spirit sea pill and stared at Qin Feiyang in astonishment. "Letting the tiger return to the mountain? That depends on whether you're a real tiger or not." Qin Feiyang pursed his lips in disdain. "Alright, just you wait." The black monkey smiled sinisterly. He swallowed the spirit sea pill and began to repair his Qi. So, at this time, in the distance there was another sound of breaking wind. The few of them looked towards the source of the sound and saw a white figure riding the wind and breaking the waves, speeding towards them. "He's Dan Wangkai. We can't let the black monkey stay here. Otherwise, when he sees the black monkey's injuries, Dan Wangkai will definitely be suspicious." Snake hurriedly said to Qin Feiyang. The black monkey sneered, "I'm not going anywhere. I'll stay here." "That's not up to you." The inner demons, Qin Feiyang glanced at him mockingly. With a wave of his hand, He sent the black monkey to the castle. Master Dan Wangkai only knows how to make pills. In his eyes, other than making pills, there's nothing that can attract him. So to deal with him, you don't have to cripple his cultivation like you did with the black monkey. Snake said in a low voice. The inner demons, Qin Feiyang said, You mean you want me to show him my skills? That's right. As long as he sees your talent in alchemy, I guarantee that he'll be obedient to you. Snake said. I'm not as patient as the real me. The inner demons, Qin Feiyang snorted from his nose, got up and said, Same as before, cripple him. Yes. Snake's eyes trembled and quickly nodded in response. That's right. The current Qin Feiyang was no longer the Qin Feiyang from before. Now the inner demons were in charge. With the inner demon's personality, how could they do such a troublesome thing? Next, Qin Feiyang lowered his head and stood behind Snake with the gorgeous woman, pretending to be Snake's subordinates. Whoosh! Soon, the white figure descended in the void in front of the three of them. It was a young man who was about 1.8 meters tall. He was wearing a white robe and appeared rather thin. His appearance was also very ordinary, and in between his eyebrows, there was an eye-catching flame symbol. Chapter 1037. Viper raised his eyebrows and said with a sinister smile, I would like to see how you are going to be rude. Dan Wangsai's overbearing attitude made him extremely unhappy. Are you provoking me? Dan Wangsai's face turned cold. Viper was about to speak, but Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice to him, Don't talk nonsense. Settle this quickly. Viper's heart skipped a beat. He suppressed the anger in his heart and said, Do you see Viper Island? Dan Wangkai lowered his head and glanced at the sea below. Viper Island was nowhere to be seen. He frowned and said, What happened? Viper said, Someone came and said that he wanted to provoke us, the 10 heroes of the Blue Sea. Viper Island was destroyed by him. Who is it? Dan Wangkai was surprised and puzzled. Viper quietly approached Dan Wangkai and said, I don't know his name. I only know that he is an 8-star battle saint and is very powerful. He even broke my forbidden technique. What? Dan Wangkai turned pale with fright. The forbidden technique was the most powerful technique of the 10 heroes of the Blue Sea. How could it be broken by someone? Moreover, the other party's cultivation was the same as Viper's, an 8-star battle saint. This was too unbelievable. Dan Wangkai was still wary of Viper. After all, Viper was notorious. Moreover, they were also part of the 10 heroes of the Blue Sea. Naturally, they knew Viper's character well. Therefore, whether it was now or in the past, he would always be cautious whenever he was with Viper. However, Dan Wangkai was shocked by Viper's words. He had unknowingly let his guard down. This was undoubtedly a good opportunity for Viper. Viper took the opportunity and stepped forward. He grabbed Dan Wangsai's neck and raised his other arm. Battle chi gushed out from his fingertips and instantly entered Dan Wangsai's sea of chi. Ah! Dan Wangkai screamed in pain as blood spurted out from his lower abdomen. You! He stared at Viper in shock and anger. Viper sneered and said, That's why you let your guard down. I have to admit that you are the most difficult person to deal with among the 10 heroes of Qinghai. So you wanted to plot against me. Why did you do that? Dan Wangkai couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. He didn't expect that the old poison had hidden himself so deeply. Viper did not answer. Instead, he dragged Dan Wangkai to Qin Feiyang and smiled flatteringly. Master, how was your subordinate's performance? Master, what's going on? Isn't he your subordinate? Dan Wangkai was bewildered. With my little ability, do I have the qualifications to make him my subordinate? Viper laughed at himself. Dan Wangkai became even more bewildered. Was this still the Viper he knew? How could he slander him like this? Qin Feiyang glanced at Dan Wangkai and then looked up at Viper with a grin. You did well. I'm a man of my word. I'll give you a great fortune later. Master, can you not mention the great fortune? Viper smiled bitterly. He admitted that Qin Feiyang's methods were indeed very frightening, but to bestow upon him great fortune, how was that possible? It was useless to say more. Qin Feiyang directly made a hand seal and controlled Dan Wangkai. What did you do to me? Dan Wangkai stared at Qin Feiyong in shock and anger. As the #1 alchemist in the internal sea, you should have spirit sea pills. If you want to settle accounts with me, go repair your Qi Sea. Inner demons. Qin Feiyong didn't answer. After saying that, he waved his hand and sent Dan Wangkai to the castle. Viper whispered, Master, they are all unruly people. If you let them stay in the castle alone, I'm afraid they will hurt Lu Hong and the others when their Qi Sea is repaired. Don't worry. I'll calculate the time when they repair their Qi Sea. Besides, it doesn't matter even if they kill those small fries. Inner demons. Qin Feiyong waved his hand coldly. When he said this, a sly look flashed in the depths of his eyes. Obviously, he deliberately said this to Wolf King and the others. Bastard! How dare you call us small fries? You've gone too far. Sure enough, Wolf King and the other beasts in the castle were furious. Lu Hong shouted, Calm down. We can't fight with him now because we still have to avenge Qin Feiyong. Yes, we must kill him. Although little Qinzi is dead, we can't let that bastard control little Qinzi's body and do whatever he wants. The two-winged snow eagle said coldly. You were also taken captive? Black Monkey and Dan Wangkai looked at each other and asked after seeing Lu Hong. Wolf King and the other beasts filled with grief and indignation. Shut up. We're not like you. This is our home. We'll take it back from that damned beast sooner or later. Wolf King shouted, full of hostility. Black Monkey and Wolf King looked at each other again, a light flashing in their eyes. Dan Wangkai smiled and said, You can't do it with your abilities. Why don't we work together? Work together? Do you think we're stupid? We don't know what you're thinking. Let me tell you, if you dare to have any ideas about this castle, I'll make sure you die a horrible death. Wolf King shouted. This was Qin Feiyong's property. No one could touch it. Dan Wangkai smiled embarrassedly and sat cross-legged next to Black Monkey. Both of them fell silent, because they could see that Lu Hong, Wolf King and the other beasts were filled with anger and killing intent at this moment. If they provoked them verbally, they would probably go berserk on the spot. Although Wolf King and the other beasts were not as strong as the two of them, their Sea of Qi had been destroyed and they had lost all their cultivation. If they really fought, they would be the ones at a disadvantage. However, the two of them began to communicate in secret. Black Monkey glanced at the Netherworld Devil Flame and said, Dan Wangkai, do you see that elixir fire? It seems to be a 7th grade elixir fire. Yes. Dan Wangkai nodded his head without leaving a trace and said, And that pill furnace, according to my judgment, should be a 7th grade pill furnace. The pill furnace that Qin Feiyong was using was indeed a 7th grade pill furnace, called the Fire Luan furnace. It was a congratulatory gift that the pavilion master of the trading pavilion had given to Qin Feiyong during the apprenticeship ceremony. Black Monkey looked at the 2 iron boxes on the altar that contained the 6-word divine arts and the alchemy scripture. His eyes were filled with greed as he thought to himself, there must be some treasures in those 2 iron boxes. Dan Wangkai sent a sound transmission. Don't leave any traces. When our Sea of Qi is restored, we'll let him rob us all. Black Monkey nodded, and the greed in his eyes quickly disappeared. Outside, Qin Feiyong and the other 2 waited for a moment and finally the third person came. It was a burly man, more than 2 meters tall, with a head of thick black hair, and his entire body was filled with a valiant aura. It's the Big Bull. Although this person is well developed, he's not stupid at all. He's not easy to deal with, Viper said in a low voice. I know that. Qin Feiyong nodded his head. He now had a general understanding of the Azure Sea's 10 heroes. In terms of intelligence, not many people among the Azure Sea's 10 heroes could be compared to the Big Bull. Whoosh! However, more people came from other directions at the same time. They were 3 men and 2 women. All of them looked young and had an extraordinary temperament. The aura they emitted was also unfathomable. Including the Big Bull, there were 6 people. The Azure Sea's 10 heroes, except for Wang Zicheng, were all here. However, the 6 of them came at the same time, which became a big problem. Why are they all here together? Viper's expression changed slightly. He turned his head to look at Qin Feiyong and asked, What should we do now? Qin Feiyong's expression was also quite ugly. Each of the Azure Sea's 10 heroes could display the strength of a 1-star combat emperor. It would be fine if there were only 1 or 2 of them, but it would be difficult to deal with 6 of them at once. The most powerful person here was the gorgeous woman. With her strength, it was impossible for her to cripple the cultivation of 6 people at once. If she couldn't cripple the cultivation of 6 people at once, they would be the ones to suffer in the end. Let's call it a day. Come closer. I'll give you a way to deal with them, Qin Feiyong said. Viper came closer. Qin Feiyong whispered a few words in his ear and went directly to the ancient castle. If they captured them by force and failed, Viper would be useless. It would undoubtedly be more difficult to capture them in the future. Therefore, it was better to give up temporarily to avoid alerting the enemy. Anyway, there was still a long way to go. They could slowly think of a way to capture the rest of the Azure Sea's 10 heroes. After a dozen breaths, the Big Bull and the other 5 arrived in front of Viper. The Big Bull glanced at the non-existent Viper Island, and then glanced at the other 3 men and 2 women. He frowned and said, "Viper, why did you call us here?" "Ancestor Mu is here," Viper said in a deep voice. The Big Bull raised his eyebrows and asked, "Viper Island was destroyed by him?" "Yes." Viper nodded. "That's impossible. When we separated in the external endless sea, Ancestor Mu had just become a 2-star battle saint. How could he do that? Could it be that Wang Zicheng is helping him?" The Big Bull said. "No. He came alone. He's not a 2-star battle saint but an 8-star battle saint. Also, the One-Eyed Dragon and Black Snake were killed by him. Even Viper number 2 and Viper number 3 were taken by him. Frankly speaking, I called you here to ask for your help. I can't let this matter rest," Viper said coldly. The 6 of them looked at each other. To them, all of this was simply a fantasy story. The gorgeous woman said, "It's true. Ancestor Mu has a kind of invisibility art. He can come and go without a trace. That's how he killed Black Snake with a single slash. Seems like I've underestimated him. But why should we help you?" The Big Bull stared at Viper with a playful look. The other 5 also had a gloating look on their faces. Viper said, "As long as you help me find him, I won't interfere when the alchemy fire appears." The Big Bull's face darkened. "Old Viper, what do you mean? We agreed to work together to snatch the alchemy fire. You still have the nerve to talk about working together? It's fine if you don't help me when I'm in trouble, but you're asking me why? Then tell me, why should I work with you?" Viper transmitted his voice. The barbarian bull's brows raised as he looked at the other 3 men and 2 women, and he said, "Even though this fellow Viper is slightly detestable, we're the 10 elites of the Azure Sea after all. Now that Ancestor Mu has provoked him, it's equivalent to provoking us. So we should help him at this moment." "That's true. But I have a condition. After we're done, give me a bottle of the sacred water you concocted." One of the women said, "I want a bottle too." The other woman also laughed. They had long been drooling over the sacred water that could cure hundreds of poisons. However, Viper wouldn't give them a drop no matter how much they begged in the past. So, they naturally wouldn't let go of such a good opportunity. Viper's eyes flashed and he nodded. "All right, I promise. After we're done, I'll give each of you a bottle." The 6 of them laughed. After that, they whispered to each other for a while, and then the 6 of them left. Phew! Viper let out a long breath, but a trace of suspicion crept onto his face. The gorgeous woman by the side also had a puzzled expression. She walked to Viper's side and said in a low voice, "Milord, why did that Qin Feiyong want you to say that? Isn't he making enemies for himself?" "I'm not sure either." Viper shook his head. "Then has he left?" The gorgeous woman glanced at the void and frowned. "I don't know." Viper shook his head again. He had roamed the inland sea for hundreds of years and had never felt so helpless before. Boom! After an unknown period of time, a huge wave suddenly rose on the surface of the sea. Qin Feiyong broke through the waves, his hair and eyes still blood-red. Chapter 1038. Did you do as I told you? The inner demons Qin Feiyong asked. Yes, but I don't understand. Why are you doing this? Aren't you afraid that they will really find trouble with you? Viper looked confused. That's exactly what I want. Because this way I can defeat them one by one. The inner demon's Qin Feiyong smiled ferociously. Viper suddenly understood. It turned out that his master had not given up on the idea of capturing others. Come with me to the castle. The inner demon's Qin Feiyong waved his hand and led Viper and the other two to the castle. This is... The gorgeous woman looked around in surprise. The inner demon's Qin Feiyong was already used to this, because anyone who entered the castle for the first time would have such a reaction. The Black Monkey and Dan Wangkai were still repairing their Sea of Qi. Lu Hong, Wolf King, and the other beasts all stared at the inner demon's Qin Feiyong with grief and indignation. The inner demon's Qin Feiyong stepped forward and landed in front of Lu Hong. He lifted Lu Hong's chin and smiled. Little beauty, are you a little impatient to be my woman? Bastard! Lu Hong spat, her eyes full of disgust. At the same time, in the inner world, Qin Feiyong's face also darkened and blue veins popped out. This bastard was obviously doing this on purpose. You have personality. I like it. The inner demon's Qin Feiyong smiled, got up and walked to the front of the altar. He opened the iron box of the 6-word formula. In addition to the iron book, there was also a Qinkuan bag. And this Qinkuan bag was full of potential pills, red fire glass pills, and Juku yellow dragon pills. Back then, when Lu Xingchen and Mu Qing entered the castle, Qin Feiyong was afraid that they would mess around, so he put all these pills in the iron box. Because the iron box could only be opened with his blood, there was nowhere safer than here. The inner demon's Qin Feiyong grabbed the Qinkuan pouch and turned to look at Venom Snake, saying, "Now I will bestow upon you a great fortune." Viper looked at the Qinkuan pouch in bewilderment. However, he raised his eyebrows in disapproval. There might really be some treasure in this cosmos sack, but he still didn't believe that it was some great fortune. Haha, everything here is ours. Die! However, at this moment, the Black Monkey and Dan Wangkai leaped up at the same time, attacking the inner demon's Qin Feiyong from both sides. The gorgeous woman was startled and was about to attack. However, Viper gave her a look, and the gorgeous woman understood. She did not make another move, but stood aside and watched coldly. Lu Hong, Wolf King, and the other beasts looked at each other and did not interfere. The inner demon's Qin Feiyong saw all of this, but he was not angry. He looked at Dan Wangkai and Mu Qing with a playful smile. Both of them were 9-star battle saints. They were extremely fast and landed in front of the inner demon's Qin Feiyong in the blink of an eye. Without saying anything, they clenched their fists and attacked Qin Feiyong's head and heart. They were afraid that a long delay would cause trouble, so they wanted to kill Qin Feiyong in one blow. Your courage is commendable, but your methods are still lacking. The inner demon's Qin Feiyong smiled hideously and activated the seal of slavery. Ah! Dan Wangkai and Mu Qing fell to the ground. Their noses were bruised and their eyes were swollen. They held their heads and howled in pain. What a pair of useless trash. Viper cursed silently. He wanted to use Dan Wangkai and Mu Qing to get rid of Qin Feiyong so that he could regain his freedom. However, he did not expect the two of them to be so useless. They did not even move a finger and were already lying on the ground crying and howling. He knew that he could not remain silent anymore. Otherwise, he would definitely arouse the dissatisfaction of Qin Feiyong. He stepped forward and kicked Dan Wangkai and Mu Qing away. He spat out blood and shouted, "How dare you be so rude to master? You're courting death." Then, he turned to Qin Feiyong and said indignantly, "Master, these two are really stubborn. We can't let them live. Otherwise, there will be endless trouble in the future." "Then what do you think we should do?" The inner demon's Qin Feiyong looked at him mockingly. Viper said, "Master, as long as you give the order, I will immediately cut off their heads and make them into stools for you to sit on. Old poison, you spineless coward. You're a disgrace to the 10 heroes of Qinghai." Mu Qing roared as he endured the pain in his head and stared at Viper angrily. Viper said righteously, "The 10 heroes of Qinghai are nothing. I only have one wish now, and that is to do my best for master until my death." Bastard! Do you have any backbone? Do you have any dignity as a human being? Mu Qing and Mu Qing were extremely angry. Viper's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He turned to Qin Feiyong and said respectfully, "Master, please deal with them. Okay, help me chop off their heads. While you're at it, Help me turn their heads into wine cups. It must be delicious to drink wine in wine glasses made from their heads. The inner demon's Qin Feiyong licked his lips. His eyes were filled with a strong bloodthirsty light. He was like a demon chilling people. Viper sneered and walked toward Dan Wangkai and Mu Qing. Looking at Qin Feiyong's blood-red eyes and Viper's ferocious expression, Dan Wangkai and Black Monkey felt a deep fear from the bottom of their hearts. Master, please spare our lives. We don't want to die. Please give us a way out. We swear that we'll serve you wholeheartedly in the future. If we have second thoughts, may the heavens and earth destroy us. At the moment of death, the two abandoned their dignity without hesitation and chose to live. After all, no one wanted to die. It's too late. Viper sneered. He had wanted to kill the rest of the 10 heroes of Qinghai for a long time, but he hadn't found the opportunity. Now that he had such a good opportunity, how could he let it go? Whoosh! Before Qin Feiyong changed his mind, he landed in front of the two like lightning. He stretched out his hands like an eagle's claws and grabbed Dan Wangkai and Mu Qing's heads. His murderous intent was bone-piercing. No! The two screamed in desperation. It's useless. You're going to die today. Viper sneered. Stop. But before he could finish his words, Qin Feiyong's voice rang out. The smile on Viper's face froze, but he gritted his teeth and continued to attack Dan Wangkai and Mu Qing. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He didn't want to give it up. You're courting death. Qin Feiyong, the inner demon's eyes turned cold. With a thought, Viper held his head and screamed. He quickly knelt on the ground and begged, Master, please spare my life. I know I was wrong. Please don't kill me. I beg you. Qin Feiyong, the inner demon, said. Even if you're a dragon, you'd better coil up in front of me. Yes, yes, yes. I won't do it again. Viper nodded repeatedly. He was terrified to the extreme. Don't do it again. Otherwise, even if you're useful to me, I won't be merciful. Qin Feiyong, the inner demon, snorted coldly. He stopped using the seal of slavery. Only then did the pain in Viper's head disappear. I understand. Viper nodded and wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. He then got up and retreated to the side. He was terrified. Qin Feiyong, the inner demons, looked at Dan Wangkai and Mu Qing and said, Are you sincerely submitting to me? Sincerely, sincerely. After witnessing Qin Feiyong's methods, the two of them didn't dare to have any other thoughts. They obeyed. Very good. Qin Feiyong, the inner demons, glanced at Dan Wangkai and Mu Qing and Viper and said, From now on, the three of you will be my left and right arms. As long as you're loyal, I won't mistreat you. Yes, Master. The three of them knelt on one knee and were extremely respectful. Get up. Qin Feiyong, the inner demons, waved his hand and said, Yes. The three of them got up and looked at each other. There was a hint of sadness in their eyes. The 10 heroes of Qinghai had dominated this sea area and made countless people tremble in fear. They didn't expect that one day they would become someone's slaves. Don't look unwilling. Following me won't bury your talents. Instead, it will make you more dazzling. Qin Feiyong, the inner demon, said. The three of them smiled apologetically, but they didn't think so in their hearts. Qin Feiyong, the inner demon, smiled coldly and took out a potential pill from his Qinkuan bag. He placed it in his palm and said, Do you know what this is? The three of them looked at the potential pill. I've refined countless pills, but I've never seen this pill before. Dan Wangkai moved closer, his eyes full of surprise. What? Even you haven't seen it before? Hearing this, the venomous snake, the black monkey, and the glamorous woman were astounded. Do you know about the Gate of Potential? Qin Feiyong, the inner demons, asked. Gate of Potential? Viper and the other two were stunned. Then a trace of arrogance appeared on their faces. Dan Wangkai said proudly, We, the 10 heroes of Qinghai, have all opened the Gate of Potential. Qin Feiyong, the inner demons, was shocked and asked, Which level? Viper said, We've all opened the first level. Wang Ziqing is more powerful than us. He has already opened the second level. No wonder he could forcefully break through the holy aura of a one-star combat emperor. Qin Feiyong, the inner demons, muttered. He then took off his clothes and sneered. Then look, how many levels have I opened? This? Viper and the other two were stunned when they saw the potential mark on his chest. That mark was dark gold in color. They had never heard of a dark gold potential mark. How could they know which level it was? The 6th level. Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, said. Boom! It was as if a bolt of lightning had exploded in their heads. Their bodies and minds were trembling. It was the 6th level of the Gate of Potential. Oh my God, how did he do it? The beautiful woman also had a look of disbelief. Could it be related to the elixir in his hands? The four of them looked at the potential elixir again. The shock in their eyes was even stronger. You're right. I can open the Gate of Potential because of this potential elixir. And these few, such as Wolf Cub and Lu Hong, have all opened the 5th and 6th level. One of my subordinates has even opened the 7th level. Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, said. The subordinate he was referring to was Yen Wei. The 7th level. Isn't that the ultimate combat saint realm? It can even break through the ultimate combat saint realm. This elixir is amazing. The few of them were so shocked that they couldn't even close their mouths. So this is the great fortune. Viper's eyes trembled. He suddenly knelt on the ground and begged, Master, please give this subordinate the potential elixir. Master, please give us the potential elixir too. Viper whispered, also very surprised and doubtful. Inner demons? Original body. Old poison, what do you mean? Dan Wangkai and the black monkey looked at Viper suspiciously. This person gave birth to the inner demons. Before, it was the inner demons that were controlling this body. But the original body's consciousness was erased by the inner demons not long ago. Viper thought to himself, how is that possible? The inner demons are ethereal things. How can they really exist? Both of them were dumbfounded. The gorgeous woman looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously for a moment, then walked up to Qin Feiyang with her enchanting body. She hugged Qin Feiyang's arm and said sadly, Master, what's wrong with you? You scared me. However, before she could finish her words, the gorgeous woman's face turned pale, and then she collapsed to the ground and screamed in pain. Everyone hurriedly looked down and suddenly changed color. There was a bloody hole in the gorgeous woman's lower abdomen, and blood was spurting out like an arrow. At the same time, it was unknown when a dagger had appeared in Qin Feiyang's hand, and it was dripping with blood. What's going on? Everyone was confused. It's Chang Shui. Is little Qin Zi really not dead? Wolf King's eyes couldn't help trembling when he saw the dagger in Qin Feiyang's hand. Master, why? The gorgeous woman looked at Qin Feiyang in horror. Qin Feiyang put away Chang Shui and walked straight to Lu Hong. His eyes softened and he said, I'm sorry I came out late and made you suffer. Are you really Qin Feiyang? Lu Hong looked at him in disbelief. It's me. Qin Feiyang nodded. It's really you. You're not dead. Lu Hong couldn't help but burst out. She burrowed into Qin Feiyang's arms and cried bitterly. Bastard, if you're not dead, why didn't you come out earlier? Why did you let the inner demons run amok outside? Look at everyone. What did he do to us? Wolf King and the other beasts were also sad and happy, and tears flowed down their faces. I'm sorry, it's my fault. I shouldn't have been soft-hearted and let him run amok. Qin Feiyang glanced at the other beasts, his eyes full of self-blame. Do you think an apology will solve the problem? Look at Xiaohong. She thought you were dead. Her eyes are swollen from crying. Wolf King said angrily. Qin Feiyang looked down at Lu Hong. Her red eyes, her aggrieved expression, and the bloodstains on her face made his heart ache. I'm sorry. This kind of thing will never happen again. He hugged Lu Hong tightly in his arms and comforted her in a low voice. It's okay. As long as you're okay. Lu Hong shook her head. But the more Lu Hong acted like this, the angrier Qin Feiyang became. His consciousness entered the inner world. The inner demons were standing in the void not far away. When they saw Qin Feiyang come in, they immediately said angrily, Why are you like this? Didn't you say you would let me stay outside for a day? Qin Feiyang was mad and shouted, You still have the nerve to talk about me? Tell me, what stupid things have you done? TSK. I'm doing this for your own good. The inner demons said. For my own good? Qin Feiyang frowned. Yes. If I didn't force you like this, would you open your heart and accept Lu Hong? The inner demons pursed their lips. Qin Feiyong couldn't help but be angry. After all this, the inner demons wanted to set him up with Lu Hong. What about me? Lu Hong has been with you for so many years. Although she didn't make any contributions, she has always supported you and cared about you. Even when you were in danger, she didn't leave you. What else do you want? Kid, don't be greedy. She's such a good woman. If you don't want her, others will fight for her. Also, you're not young anymore. You should face what you need to face. Don't always make me worry. I'm just the inner demons, not your father. The inner demons rolled their eyes at him. Looking at the inner demon's old-fashioned attitude, Qin Feiyong couldn't help but feel angry. He shook his head and said, "Feelings can't be forced. Why are you so stubborn?" The inner demon glared at him as if she expected better from him. "I'm not stubborn. I'm responsible. Lu Hong is very important to me. If anything happens to her, I'm willing to sacrifice myself to protect her. But I can't talk about feelings with her. Because she's my family, not my lover. If I insist on being with her, it's unfair to her. It will only hurt her in the future." Qin Feiyong shook his head. "Rotten wood. Forget it. It's up to you. This time I was meddling in other people's business. When you go out, apologize to them for me." After saying that, the inner demon sat cross-legged in the void, closed their eyes, and ignored Qin Feiyong. How troublesome. Qin Feiyong glared at the inner demons angrily and withdrew his consciousness from the inner world. He was not a fool. He had already seen through Lu Hong's feelings. He just didn't want to break the barrier and complicate their relationship, so he pretended not to know. Chapter 1040. Inside the castle. After some time, Lu Hong, Wolf King, and the other beasts finally calmed down. Qin Feiyong let go of her. Lu Hong blushed. She stood up and looked away, not daring to look at anyone. Wolf King joked, "Did you see that? Someone's embarrassed." Any woman would be embarrassed. What's so strange about that? The two-winged snow eagle also took advantage of the situation to tease. Lu Hong's face turned even redder. "Will you die if you don't talk so much?" Qin Feiyong glared at Wolf King and the other beasts. He then looked at the gorgeous woman and said lightly, "You forget yourself just because I give you some sunshine. People like you can't be left alive." "Master, I know I'm wrong. Please don't kill me." The gorgeous woman's eyes trembled. She quickly knelt in front of Qin Feiyong and begged. Qin Feiyong said, "I won't kill you, but I won't let you follow me either. Hand over the Qinkuan bag." The gorgeous woman didn't dare to hesitate. She immediately took out the Qinkuan bag and handed it to Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong looked at Viper and smiled. "Give her the antidote and set her free." The reason why the gorgeous woman was so obedient to Viper was because Viper had used poison to control her. "This?" Viper hesitated. "Didn't you hear?" Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows. Yes. Viper nodded. He took out a bottle of sacred water and threw it to the gorgeous woman. The gorgeous woman was stunned. What was going on? Not only did he not kill her, he even gave her the antidote. Was there something wrong with his head? But no matter what, this was a good thing. She quickly grabbed the jade bottle and drank a drop of the sacred water. The poison that had accumulated in her body for many years disappeared instantly. Good luck. Viper took back the rest of the sacred water and snorted secretly. The gorgeous woman's eyes showed a hint of pride. It seemed that this Qin Feiyong was still interested in her. However, just as her imagination was running wild, Qin Feiyong said, "You can leave now." "Leave?" The gorgeous woman was stunned, and then her face changed. She hurriedly hugged Qin Feiyong's thigh and cried out, "No, master." If her sea of qi hadn't been destroyed, she would have been happy to hear this, because this meant that she had truly regained her freedom. But now, she had lost all of her cultivation, and the inland sea was extremely dangerous, especially in the depths of the inland sea where there were even monarch beasts. If she went out alone, there was no doubt that she would die. This is your only chance. Whether you can survive or not will depend on your luck. Qin Feiyong said expressionlessly. Then, he waved his hand and threw the gorgeous woman out of the castle. Viper asked, "Master, what if she's lucky and survives?" "Naive." Wolf King sneered. "The castle that was exposed to the outside would automatically sink. So now the castle should be at the bottom of the sea. As everyone knew, not only were there terrifying sea beasts lurking at the bottom of the sea, but there was also terrifying water pressure. The gorgeous woman's cosmos bag was in Qin Feiyang's hands. Without the water-repelling pearl, even if the sea beasts let her go, she would still be crushed alive by the water pressure. In other words, the chances of the gorgeous woman surviving were zero. Qin Feiyang glanced at Viper and the other two and said, "You three should act as usual. Don't let Barbarian Bull and the others notice anything." Understood. The three of them nodded. Dan Wangkai asked, "Master, how do I use this potential pill?" The process of taking the potential pill is very painful, but as long as you persevere, you will succeed. In addition, when opening the potential door, you need the assistance of coercion. With your cultivation, the lowest requirement is Emperor's coercion. Qin Feiyang said. "What if you can't persevere?" The black monkey asked. "You will explode and die." Qin Feiyang said. The pupils of the three shrank. They didn't expect the consequences to be so serious. Sure enough, it proved the old saying that effort and gain coexist. Qin Feiyang said, "Take out your image crystals and establish a contract bridge. If there is any news in the future, inform me immediately." Yes. The three of them nodded. After establishing the contract bridge, Viper asked, "Master, what about the poison in my body? If the poison in his body is not removed, he will always be threatened by the old man in green. This matter can't be rushed. Bear with it for a while. When I get the cluster of 7th grade pill fire that is about to be born, I will refine a detoxification pill with 7 pill patterns for you to try. If it doesn't work, I will go to Peichin to get the antidote," Qin Feiyang said. "Thank you, Master." Viper bowed and thanked him. 7 pill patterns. When Dan Wangkai heard this, a trace of deep disbelief crept up between his brows. Qin Feiyang said with a faint smile, "Don't be surprised. I can still refine a lot of pills that even you have never heard of." Dan Wangkai's eyes suddenly became fiery. If it was in the past, he would definitely not believe it. However, after seeing the potential pill, he firmly believed in Qin Feiyang's words. Qin Feiyang turned to Lu Hong, Wolf King, and the other beasts and said with a smile, "You don't have to worry about anything outside. Just focus on your cultivation." Everyone nodded. After that, Qin Feiyang took out the water avoidance pearl and left the ancient castle with Viper and the other two. The place they appeared at was indeed the bottom of the sea. Nearby, there were a few sea beasts wandering around and the gorgeous woman was nowhere to be seen. Viper glanced at the sea beasts and sighed. "If I'm not wrong, the red snake has already died under their mouths. You still sympathize with her?" Dan Wangkai and the black monkey rolled their eyes. "Not sympathy, just sentiment," Viper said. At the same time, their fear of Qin Feiyang deepened. Compared to the inner demons, this person was indeed much gentler. However, once his reverse scale was touched, his means were even more terrifying than the inner demons. In fact, Qin Feiyang did this to make an example out of them. Every single one of the Azure Sea's 10 heroes were arrogant people. If he didn't intimidate them, who knew what kind of trouble they would cause? Roar! Those sea beasts also noticed Qin Feiyang and the other three. They immediately let out deafening roars and rushed toward the 4 of them. Their ferocious aura also erupted. "Oh no, they are all 9-star sacred beasts." Dan Wangkai's expression changed. He swept up Qin Feiyang and the other two and rushed toward the sea without looking back. Roar! However, the roars of those sea beasts alarmed all the sea beasts in this area. Splash! Boom! Some were as big as mountains and some were as small as rocks. They rushed toward the 4 of them in a rush. There were countless of them. This is not good. Viper and the other two's faces darkened. Although there were no emperor beasts, how could they kill so many sea beasts? The black monkey said, "Master, it seems that we have to enter your ancient castle and hide for a while." Dan Wangkai nodded and said, "Yes, although there are no emperor beasts now, once we fight with them, we might alarm the nearby emperor beasts. There is no need." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and stopped at the same time. "There is no need. Do you have a way?" The 3 of them were surprised and stopped behind Qin Feiyang. "Grab my shoulders," Qin Feiyang said. The 3 of them suspiciously reached out and grabbed Qin Feiyang's shoulders. Almost at the next moment, A sea beast passed by not far in front of them, but it left as if it did not see them. What's going on? Is it blind? Viper and the other two looked at each other. Qin Feiyong said, I've activated the invisibility technique. We can see them, but they can't see us. Invisibility technique? Was this what you used to kill the black snake? Viper asked. Qin Feiyong nodded. It's amazing. There is such a battle art in the world. Wait, is this invisibility technique a divine art? The three of them were surprised. It doesn't matter if it's a divine art or a battle art, as long as we can avoid their eyes and ears. Now don't move and don't let go, Qin Feiyong said. If they activated the invisibility technique outside, they could move freely without being discovered, but it was different in the sea. Because the sea would move. Once they moved, the seawater would also fluctuate. At that time, the sea beasts would be able to follow the fluctuations of the seawater and find their location. The only thing they could do now was to wait for the sea beasts to leave. Dan Wangkai looked at it in amazement for a while before turning to look at Qin Feiyong. His face was full of flattery as he transmitted a message. Master, can you let me take a look at that potential pill formula of yours? Qin Feiyong said with a smile, sure. But it depends on your performance. Don't worry, I'll do my best. Dan Wangkai patted his chest as if he was making a solemn vow. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. Suddenly he seemed to have thought of something. With a serious expression, he exhorted, You are not allowed to mention to anyone that I am Qin Feiyong, including what you saw in the castle. What's wrong? The three of them were suspicious. Qin Feiyong said, If you have the chance, go to the Divine City and ask around a little. Okay. The three of them nodded. Then where are you going next? Dan Wangkai asked again. Qin Feiyong said, To meet up with Wang Zicheng and the others. Find Wang Zicheng? The three of them looked at each other and raised their eyebrows without leaving a trace. The black monkey said, Master, do you have any plans to take Wang Zicheng under your command? I do, but he's with young Master Hao, so it's hard to make a move. I'll talk about it when I have the chance. Also, I'm not the inner demon, so don't call me Master in the future. Sounds awkward. Qin Feiyong said. Snake said, Then what should we call you? Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. Just call me by my name. That's not good, is it? How about we call you Young Master or Young Master? Dan Wangkai said. Qin Feiyong thought for a while and nodded with a smile. Sure, as long as it's not Master. Then Young Master, can you teach your invisibility technique to others? It's amazing, I want it too. The black monkey smiled flatteringly. You're thinking too much. Qin Feiyong's face twitched and he rolled his eyes. Not to mention whether the invisibility technique could be taught to others, the relationship between them was not to the extent of being intimate. The black monkey smiled embarrassedly, knowing that it was a little presumptuous, so it did not continue to pester. A few hundred breaths later, most of the nearby sea beasts had left. The four of them did not delay and quickly left the deep sea. Chapter 1041. After Qin Feiyong left, Dan Wangkai retracted his gaze and looked at Viper angrily. Old poison, we've been tricked by you this time. The black monkey also stared at Viper with a face full of resentment. Why didn't you blame me when I asked for the potential pill? Now that you've gotten the potential pill, you're blaming me? Viper's face was gloomy. When the two of them heard this, they couldn't help but feel ashamed. Viper continued. Also, after signing the slave seal, Young Master can peek into our inner thoughts, so you'd better be honest. What? There's such a thing. The two of them were shocked. I'm not joking with you. You'd better take care of yourselves. Viper sneered, turned around and left alone. Dan Wangkai and the black monkey looked at each other, quickly dispelled their evil thoughts and chased after Viper. And then there was Qin Feiyong. In the dangerous sea area with countless sea beasts, he had no choice but to activate the kill formula again. But this time it was the inner demons who controlled the body. As Qin Feiyong expected, the kill formula didn't have any effect on the inner demons. On the contrary, the inner demons seemed to have been injected with stimulants, crazily killing and absorbing blood. Finally, his cultivation actually broke through to the one-star war emperor. Feeling the explosive power, the inner demons became even crazier and more unscrupulous. Along the way, he left behind countless corpses and bones. Moreover, As he absorbed more and more blood, his strength actually continued to increase. He didn't know how much blood he had absorbed, but his cultivation finally surpassed the 2-star War Emperor and stopped at the 3-star War Emperor. Whether it was the inner demons or Qin Feiyang's original body, they couldn't help but be wild with joy. Because from the 3-star War Saint to the 3-star War Emperor there was a big realm. In other words, in addition to their battle arts and divine arts, even if it was a 6 or 7-star War Emperor, they would still have the power to fight. However, this was not a simple matter, because it required a large amount of blood in advance. Right now I can kill any god or devil that stands in my way. Who dares to fight me? The killing intent of the inner demon soared to the sky. The sea within a radius of several hundred miles trembled under his aura. Right now he was like a god of death, scaring all the sea beasts away. Even the monarch beasts did not dare to come any closer. Time slowly passed. In the evening, on a certain island in the depths of the inland sea, this island was extremely large, with a diameter of several hundred miles. It was surrounded by mountains and lush greenery. On the peak of a certain mountain, 2 men and a woman were sitting cross-legged together with their eyes closed in meditation. It was Wang Yuer and the other two. Roar! Suddenly, the roars of beasts could be heard. The 3 opened their eyes at the same time and looked suspiciously at the sea behind them. That is, immediately, their expressions changed. In the sky above the sea, groups of sea beasts were running madly towards the island, creating huge waves. That's a beast tide. Young Master Hao stood up and looked at the group of sea beasts, his face full of shock. What happened? I've been in the inner sea for hundreds of years, but I've never heard of a beast tide appearing anywhere in the inner sea. Wang Ziqing mumbled, his eyes full of bewilderment. The beast tide was getting closer and the commotion was getting louder and louder. The island under their feet was shaking. Quick hide! Wang Yuer shouted. The 3 of them quickly jumped down from the peak and hid in a valley below. Roar! Soon, groups of sea beasts came roaring. Some galloped in the void while others ran wildly on the island, creating a huge commotion. They are all sacred beasts and most of them are 9-star battle sages. Wang Ziqing and the other 2 hid in the valley, restraining their auras to the extreme. They did not even dare to breathe loudly. No way, there are monarch beasts. Suddenly Wang Ziqing's gaze was fixed on the void above, his face full of disbelief. It was a Neptune leopard. It was more than 10 meters long and had a ferocious aura. It whizzed past the top of the valley. It's really a beast tide, but what are they chasing? I didn't see anything passing by here before. Also, why are their eyes filled with fear? Wang Ziqing was bewildered. Fear. Wang Yuer and Wang Ziqing were stunned and carefully observed the eyes of those sea beasts. True enough. Every sea beast's eyes were filled with fear. It didn't seem like they were chasing something, but more like they were running for their lives. The devil is here. Run! Some sea beasts roared in horror. Devil? Wang Ziqing and the other 2 could not help but tremble. What kind of devil was so terrifying that even monarch beasts were fleeing? You drags, let's see where you can escape to, haha. Suddenly, there was a maniacal laughter that reverberated through the sky. Whose voice is that? Wang Ziqing and the other 2 were bewildered. Young Master Hao's gaze suddenly trembled slightly and he said telepathically, no, this voice is somewhat familiar. Familiar? Wang Yuer and Wang Ziqing were stunned and listened carefully. All of a sudden, the 3 of them shouted in unison, it's Ancestor Mu. But how is that possible? They knew Qin Feiyang's strength and it was impossible for him to do that. However, this voice was indeed Qin Feiyang's, but it was slightly different from before. It was filled with a shocking hostility. Although the 3 of them were very puzzled, they did not dare to go out to investigate. Because the sky was full of sea beasts. If they ran out now, they would be trampled to death even if they were not killed. Now I truly understand how lonely it is to be invincible. I ask, who can grant me death? The voice sounded again with an indescribable sense of loss. Bah, how narcissistic. Wang Yuer's face darkened and she could not help but curse in a low voice. He is indeed narcissistic. Wang Ziqing nodded. Young Master Hao shook his head and said, no, I know Brother Mu very well. He would not speak in such a tone. The voice is clearly his. Wang Yuer rolled her eyes at him. Young Master Hao said. It could be someone else, but the voice is just like Brother Mu's. Is that so? Wang Yuer and young Master Hao muttered and looked up at the sky above the valley. Groups of sea beasts ran over from the sky. After a long time, the sea beasts finally disappeared. Immediately after, a blood-red figure appeared in the sky above the valley and entered the sight of the three of them. It was the inner demon's Qin Feiyang. He had blood-red hair and blood-red eyes. His clothes were also dyed red by blood. In his hand was the corpse of a sea beast that was as big as a mountain. Hot blood spurted out like a waterfall. Obviously, this sea beast had not died for long. The inner demon's Qin Feiyang walked in the sky with the sea beast in his hand. He really looked like a devil with a murderous aura that filled the sky. It's really Brother Mu. When he saw the inner demon's Qin Feiyang's face, young Master Hao was immediately overjoyed and immediately stood up to greet him. Don't make a sound. Wang Ziqing pulled him back. What's wrong? Young Master Hao lowered his head and looked at him suspiciously. Although he looks exactly the same as Ancestor Mu, his temperament is completely different. The most important thing is that his cultivation is much higher than Ancestor Mu's. If I'm not wrong, he should be a 3-star combat emperor. Wang Ziqing transmitted his voice. 3-star combat emperor. Young Master Hao's body trembled. He immediately lay down on the ground and thought, then why does he look so similar to Brother Mu? How long have I known Ancestor Mu? If you don't know, how would I know? Wang Ziqing rolled his eyes at him. Strange, what's going on? Young Master Hao frowned. At this moment, the inner demon's Qin Feiyang suddenly stopped and looked down at the valley. Not good, we've been discovered. Let's go. Wang Yuer's pupils shrank. She quickly pulled young Master Hao out of the valley and fled in panic. Wang Ziqing was also like a frightened rabbit. He quickly jumped out and chased after Wang Yuer and young Master Hao. Hey! The inner demon's Qin Feiyang laughed mockingly. He took a step forward and instantly blocked in front of the three. He said, Where do you think you're going? Who are you? The three of them stopped abruptly and focused their attention on the inner demon's Qin Feiyang. Who am I? Are you blind? Can't you see that I'm Ancestor Mu? The inner demon's Qin Feiyang said playfully. You know Ancestor Mu? Then you must know him. What's your relationship with him? Young Master Hao asked. If I say that I'm his biological elder brother from the same mother, would you believe me? The inner demon's Qin Feiyang said with a sinister smile. Biological elder brother? The three of them looked at each other. Why hadn't they heard Ancestor Mu mention that he had such a biological elder brother? The inner demon's Qin Feiyang changed the topic and said, Since you're here, it means that the Elixir Fire's birthplace should also be here. Tell me where it is. Young Master Hao frowned and turned to Wang Yuer and Wang Ziqing. He said telepathically, You even know that. It shouldn't be fake. The two of them nodded. Wang Ziqing coughed and cupped his hands with a smile. Brother Mu, let me introduce myself. I'm Wang Ziqing, Ancestor Mu's sworn brother. Wait, Brother Wang, did you remember wrongly? When did you and Brother Mu become sworn brothers? Before Wang Ziqing could finish, young Master Hao interrupted him with a suspicious look. The smile on Wang Ziqing's face froze and the blue veins on his forehead bulged. What's wrong with this bastard's eyesight? Can't he see that I'm trying to make friends with Ancestor Mu's biological elder brother? How dare he ruin my plan in front of me? Is he going too far? Looking at Wang Ziqing's embarrassed face, the inner demon's Qin Feiyang couldn't help but want to laugh. But he held it back and said with a straight face, I've heard about you from my younger brother. You're Wang Ziqing, one of the 10 heroes of Qinghai. You're young Master Hao, the son of a big shot. As for you, the inner demon's Qin Feiyang looked at Wang Yuer and said with a smile, If I remember correctly, you seem to be the fiancé that my younger brother picked up. Young Master Hao and Wang Ziqing burst out laughing. Wang Yuer's face darkened. She gnashed her teeth and glared at the inner demon's Qin Feiyang. Did I say something wrong? This fiancé of yours was picked up from the streets. Besides, although my younger brother is ugly, he's quite popular with women. The number of women who like him, not to mention how many, can at least line up from the inland sea to the outer sea. So, Don't think that you can be arrogant in front of my younger brother just because you're a little beautiful and have a little family background. Our family doesn't welcome arrogant women, so you'd better behave yourself. Otherwise, I'll ask my younger brother to divorce you. The inner demons, Qin Feiyang said coldly. Okay, divorce me. I can't ask for more. You'd better divorce me now. Wang Yue was mad. As the saying goes, if you're not a family, you won't marry into the same family. Like younger brother, like elder brother. Young Master Hao and Wang Zicheng, who were next to them, wanted to laugh but didn't dare to. Their faces turned red. Chapter 1042. Little girl, don't be arrogant. Although my Mu family can't be compared to your Wang family, it won't be that easy to enter my Mu family. The inner demons Qin Feiyang chuckled and ignored Wang Yue, who was gnashing her teeth. He turned to look at Wang Zicheng and asked, where is the birthplace of the elixir fire? It's not on this island. Wang Zicheng shook his head. The inner demons Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and asked in confusion, since it's not on this island, why are you here? It's a long story. Wang Zicheng sighed deeply and said with a smile, Brother Mu, please come with me. He smiled reluctantly. Then he rose into the sky, turned into a stream of light, and flew to the left side of the island. The inner demons Qin Feiyang frowned and quickly followed. Young Master Hao glanced at the two of them, then looked at the indifferent Wang Yue and asked, Sister, aren't you going? What for? Wang Yue asked coldly. Young Master Hao said, Brother Mu's brother is very strong. Maybe he can defeat them. So what? Wang Yue snorted. Young Master Hao said, in this way, we can enter that island and wait for an opportunity to snatch the elixir fire. If you want to go, you go. I won't go. Wang Yue turned her head and looked away. If she still followed them, wouldn't she be even more a joke? Young Master Hao said helplessly, Sister, don't be so stubborn. The task is more important. After that, he forcibly dragged Wang Yue and chased after the inner demons Qin Feiyang and Wang Zicheng. About half an hour passed. Another island came into the sight of the inner demons Qin Feiyang. The island was not very big, about a dozen miles or so. There was a huge volcano in the center, which was erupting red magma and illuminating half the sky. There were no beasts or plants on the island, only piles of volcanic ash. The sky above the island was also extremely hazy. Wang Zicheng stopped and looked at the island from afar. He said in a deep voice, Big Brother Mu, this is actually the birthplace of the alchemy fire. Then why don't you guys wait here? Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, was suspicious. It's a long story. Back then, after we separated from your younger brother, we came here directly. At the beginning it was still alright. There were only the three of us. However, more and more people started to arrive. Furthermore, most of them were battle emperors. We have no choice but to hide and wait for an opportunity. But this afternoon, an old man suddenly discovered us and chased us out. Wang Zicheng said helplessly. Upon hearing this, the inner demons Qin Feiyang scanned the island. His eyes flickered as he asked, how many are there? 10 people. Their cultivation levels are between 4-star and 6-star combat emperors, Wang Zicheng said. The inner demons Qin Feiyang asked, do you know who they are? I don't know. Wang Zicheng shook his head. I know. Young Master Hao suddenly said. Who? Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, turned to look at him. Young Master Hao said, the people of the 9 super tribes and the trading pavilion. I was wondering why they didn't kill you. Turns out that they are from these forces. Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, suddenly understood. If it were anyone else, they would have been killed by those 10 people. However, regardless of whether it was the people of the 9 super tribes or the trading pavilion, they all knew young Master Hao and Wang Yue. Naturally, they wouldn't dare to act recklessly. At the same time, upon hearing the conversation between Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, and young Master Hao, the shock in Wang Zicheng's eyes intensified. He looked at young Master Hao and Wang Yue and asked suspiciously, who are you two? He had also thought about this question. Why didn't those 10 people kill them but only chase them away? At first, he thought that those 10 people might not care about them because they were young and weak. However, he didn't expect that it was because of Wang Yue and young Master Hao. As for the 9 super tribes and the trading pavilion, although he had never been to the Divine City, He had more or less heard about them. Even the people from these superpowers didn't dare to touch them. How terrifying were these two people's origins? In the past, he also thought about asking about their identities in person, but after thinking about it, he felt that it was too rash to inquire about their background since they had just known each other for a short time. Therefore, he didn't ask them. But now he really couldn't hold it in anymore. And this time, he made up his mind to get an answer. Well, in the face of Wang Zicheng's question, young Master Hao looked at Wang Yuer at a loss. Wang Yuer glanced at Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, and then looked at Wang Zicheng and said, "Our identities are not important. The important thing is, how did the people of the 9 super tribes and the trading pavilion know that the alchemy fire was born here?" "That's right. Who leaked the news?" Young Master Hao was surprised. Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, glanced at the two of them, looked up at the island and sneered, "You two are still too naive. Brother Mu, what do you mean?" Young Master Hao was suspicious. Wang Yuer raised her eyebrows in dissatisfaction. The main tower seems to be calm, but in fact, there are undercurrents surging. I might as well tell you the truth. Whether it is the super tribes or the trading pavilion, they all have spies in the main tower. And these spies have a very high status in the main tower. Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, said, "What? There is such a thing?" The two of them were surprised. "Are you surprised? Then if I tell you that the mysterious Mu family also has spies in the main tower, will you believe it?" Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, smiled playfully. Well, the two of them looked at each other. "Brother Mu, you can't say that. If you say that the super tribes and the trading pavilion have spies in the main tower, I will believe it. But we have always minded our own business. They would never do such a thing." Young Master Hao said. "Otherwise, why would I say that you are still too naive? Some things are not as simple as you think." Qin Feiyang, the inner demon, sneered. Young Master Hao frowned. He felt that what Qin Feiyang, the inner demon, said was too outrageous. But Wang Yuer couldn't help but feel a chill in her heart. She was older than young Master Hao, and her cultivation was stronger than young Master Hao. She had seen more than young Master Hao, so her vision of things was also better than young Master Hao. And what Qin Feiyang, the inner demon, said seemed unintentional. But in fact, there was a deep meaning in his words. She couldn't help but begin to doubt. Suddenly, she seemed to think of something. She looked at Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, and her eyes flickered. "Why are you looking at me like that? Do you think I am very handsome now?" Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, stroked his chin and laughed. Wang Yuer rolled her eyes and said in a deep voice, "I have always ignored a problem, that is, your surname. You two brothers are surnamed Mu. Are you from the Mu family?" Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, was stunned. Young Master Hao was also stunned. Looking at Qin Feiyang's reaction, Wang Yuer narrowed her eyes slightly and said, "Is it true that I am right?" "Hey!" Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, grinned, stepped forward, grabbed Wang Yuer's neck and said coldly, "Since you have been guessed, I have to kill you." Wang Yuer's face turned pale. Young Master Hao also changed his expression and asked in disbelief, "Brother Mu, is that true?" Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, acted so real that young Master Hao couldn't help but believe it. "What do you think?" Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, looked at him coldly. Young Master Hao's heart instantly fell into an ice valley. At the same time, in his heart, a burst of anger burst out. He stared at Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, and roared, "How dare you use me? The Mu family is too much. I didn't use you, it was my brother who used you. You're really stupid. You believed him so easily. But then again, we really have to thank you. If it weren't for your help, my useless brother wouldn't have the chance to become your father's disciple." Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, joked. "Bastard!" Young Master Hao roared. "What? Ancestor Mu is young Master Hao's father's disciple? Doesn't that mean that young Master Hao is the chief tower master's son?" Wang Zicheng looked at young Master Hao in surprise. He didn't expect that young Master Hao was the son of the master of the Forgotten Continent. What about Wang Yuer? Young Master Hao had always called her sister. Was she also the chief tower master's daughter? What are you shouting for? Is it useful to shout now? Wang Yuer shouted at young Master Hao angrily, then looked at Qin Feiyang, the inner demons, and said, "We are really blind. After being with Ancestor Mu for so long, we didn't see through his true colors. Haha, Qin Feiyang, the inner demons laughed, then let go of Wang Yue, and flew toward the island without looking back. This, young Master Hao was stunned. Wang Yue was also stunned. My little brother was right. You two are really naive. Qin Feiyang, the inner demons laughed loudly and quickly entered the island. Naive. Too much, too much. The two immediately gnashed their teeth. After all this time, this person was just teasing them. But the next moment, young Master Hao's expression changed, and he shouted, Brother Mu, don't go, it's dangerous. Stop shouting. Since he dares to go, it means that he is confident. Let's just wait for the good show. Wang Zicheng said, but there was a thoughtful look in his eyes. A son of the Chief Tower Master, a daughter of the Chief Tower Master, and a personal disciple of the Chief Tower Master. What was the purpose of these three coming to Qinghai? Suddenly, his eyes trembled slightly. Could it be that they were here for the alchemy fire? You guys be careful, I have something to deal with, Wang Zicheng hurriedly said, then turned around and used the perfect auxiliary battle technique, disappearing from the sight of young Master Hao and Wang Yue. What is he going to do? Young Master Hao frowned. Who knows? Wang Yue pursed her lips. At the same time, on the volcanic island, Qin Feiyang, the inner demon, stood above the island scanning below. The air here was very dry and hot, and ashes were flying everywhere. Although it was already night, under the illumination of the fire, everything on the island could be clearly seen. There were no living creatures on the island, but around the volcano, there were 10 figures sitting cross-legged. He nodded and said with a smile, Good, good, good. This hidden danger is finally removed. I can rest assured. Now your task is to get the elixir fire back. I'm afraid that's a little difficult because the other 8 super tribes and the trading pavilion have also sent people here. Pei Qin said. They also received the news? The leader of the Divine Python tribe frowned and said, Well, I won't force you. Try your best. Yes. Pei Qin answered respectfully and turned off the image crystal. Haha. I didn't expect that you really killed Ancestor Mu. You're amazing. At this moment, a sneer sounded. Who is it? Pei Qin's eyes turned cold. He suddenly turned around and looked in the direction of the voice, only to see a middle-aged man walking out from behind a rock. It's you, Wu Kai. Pei Qin's old face suddenly became extremely gloomy. If I hadn't been suspicious and followed you, I would have thought that Ancestor Mu's brother had wronged you. Wu Kai chuckled. What do you want? Pei Qin's eyes surged with killing intent. Wu Kai said with a smile, Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking the opportunity to threaten you. On the contrary, I want to thank you properly. Thank me? Pei Qin frowned. But at the next moment, he seemed to have thought of something and the killing intent in his eyes quickly dissipated. He chuckled and said, Your Qilin tribe should indeed thank me properly. What do you mean? This time Wu Kai was puzzled. Pei Qin said, Guoxiangzhong, the trusted aide of your leader, failed several times to assassinate Ancestor Mu. Now that I've helped you get rid of this big problem, shouldn't you thank me? How do you know? Wu Kai's face darkened. Ever since Ancestor Mu entered Qinghai City, I've been secretly monitoring him, so I know everything that Guoxiangzhong has done. Pei Qin said with a smile. So your Divine Python tribe has started to act so early, but I'm very puzzled. Why do you want to get rid of Ancestor Mu? What deep grudge does he have with your Divine Python tribe? Wu Kai frowned. Pei Qin's eyes flashed and he said expressionlessly, It's not your place to ask about these things. Wu Kai said with a smile, Okay, I've said too much. Anyway, Ancestor Mu's death is good for both of us. That's true. Pei Qin nodded with a smile and said, By the way, let me tell you another news. Guoxiangzhong is dead. What? Wu Kai's face changed and he asked, Who killed him? One is called the Big Bull and the other is called Wang Zicheng. You've seen Wang Zicheng before. He's the young man with young Master Hao. Both of them are part of the Qinghai 10 heroes and are quite powerful. Pei Qin said. Why didn't you say so earlier? Wu Kai said angrily. If he had known at that time, even if young Master Hao and Wang Yue were present, he wouldn't have let Wang Zicheng leave the island alive. It's not too late to say it now, because the Qinghai 10 heroes will definitely come to snatch the alchemy fire. Chapter 1044. In the center of the island, the people of the 9 super tribes and the trading pavilion had all returned one after another. They each occupied one side, waiting for the birth of the alchemy fire. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying murderous intent surged like a tide, enveloping the entire island. The 10 people were shocked and looked up. When they saw the inner demons Qin Feiyang coming back, their eyes were filled with surprise. Swish! The inner demons Qin Feiyang stopped above the crater. The magma that erupted could not withstand his pressure at all and scattered all over the sky. Pei Qin smiled and asked, "Little friend, why are you back?" "I forgot one thing." The inner demons raised the corner of his mouth and glanced at the crater below. Inside the volcano, he could faintly feel the aura of the alchemy fire. Obviously, the alchemy fire that had not yet been born was inside this volcano. Seeing the inner demons glancing at the crater, the 3 people could not help but feel a chill in their hearts. Pei Qin smiled without batting an eyelid. "Little friend, there should be a first come, first served rule for everything. First come, first serve. Are you kidding? In this world, it's about whose fist is bigger. Now I officially announce that the alchemy fire here is mine. You can get lost." The inner demons looked proud and did not put the 10 people in his eyes. Get lost? There was no doubt that the 10 people were furious. Not to mention their identity, just based on their strength, no one dared to speak to them in such a tone. The word get lost was not only humiliating them, but also trampling on their dignity. You don't agree? The inner demons glanced at the crowd, his eyes full of contempt. Although little friend's strength is exceptional, we old fellows are not too weak either. Thus, I'll give little friend a word of advice. It's best to take care of yourself. Pei Qin laughed and said. The inner demons looked at Pei Qin and said with a smile, "Old man, you seem to be the most arrogant among these people. Haven't you heard that the bird that sticks out gets shot?" Boom! After saying that, the inner demons exuded a shocking murderous aura and rushed toward Pei Qin. Damn it! Pei Qin quivered. Only now did he realize that no one else had spoken. How could he be so foolish? He was extremely vexed. However, it was too late to regret now. His gaze was gloomy as he coldly snorted. The bird that sticks out will be shot. Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying emperor's aura rushed out of his old body and pounced towards Qin Feiyang. I have finally seen your cultivation level clearly. I originally thought that you were a 6-star combat emperor, but it turns out that you are just a 5-star combat emperor. The inner demon smiled contemptuously and landed in front of Pei Qin like a bolt of lightning, slapping him in the air. No battle chi. He didn't use any battle arts either. The inner demon scoffed, "Did you see that? I don't even need battle aura to deal with you." Crazy. Ancestor Mu is already crazy enough, but this person is even crazier than Ancestor Mu. As expected of a brother. Wu Kai and the others' pupils shrank. However, Pei Qin was a 5-star combat emperor, but this person was only a 3-star combat emperor. There was a difference of 2 small realms, but he didn't even need to use battle aura. Wasn't he being too arrogant? As for Pei Qin, there was no doubt that he was completely enraged by the inner demon's words. "Brat, you will soon know that you are not qualified to be arrogant in front of this old man." Pei Qin roared as he stretched out his old arm. Battle chi surged from his palm as he slapped towards the inner demons without any intention of dodging. This was what he thought. Since this person dared to be arrogant, he might as well take the opportunity to kill him with a single palm strike. After all, paper cannot wrap fire. If this matter was exposed one day and this person found out that he was related to Ancestor Mu's death, then it would be even more troublesome. Therefore, he might as well cut the weeds and eliminate the roots now. Boom! In an instant, the 2 palms collided. However, at the same time, the inner demons Qin Feiyang's palm emitted a dazzling golden light. Return formula. At that moment, Pei Qin was sent flying. His arm was lacerated and blood flowed out. What? Pei Qin was defeated. Wu Kai and the others were stunned. One must know that Pei Qin had used his battle chi. How could he be defeated by this person? What was going on? This power, it can actually rebound. Pei Qin himself was also in disbelief. After stabilizing his body, he looked at the inner demons, Qin Feiyang, in horror. Looking at your incredible appearance, I thought you were very strong. It turns out that this is all there is to it. The inner demons grinned and took a mysterious step. He left a series of phantoms around Pei Qin. Each of the phantoms was incomparably real, as if they were his clones. Phantom steps. This is a perfect auxiliary combat art. Wu Kai was shocked. A middle-aged woman frowned and said, "Why does this combat art look a little familiar?" Familiar? Everyone looked at her in surprise. I can't remember at the moment. However, this kind of footwork should be very scary because no one knows where his real body is, the middle-aged woman said in a deep voice. Everyone nodded. Pei Qin might be in trouble now. Looking at Pei Qin again. At this moment his face was gloomy as he glanced at the phantoms of the inner demons, Qin Feiyang. Indeed, as Wu Kai and the others expected, in the face of the phantoms all over the sky, he really couldn't tell which one was Qin Feiyang's real body. However, it wasn't impossible to crack, as long as all the phantoms were destroyed. Destroy for me. He raised his head and roared, his hair standing on end. His whole body was like a rainbow, rolling in all directions. Those phantoms continued to be destroyed. Old man, I'm here. Suddenly, a playful voice rang in Pei Qin's ears. Pei Qin's hair suddenly stood up and he didn't hesitate to throw a punch. Hey! The inner demon smiled ferociously and directly slapped with his big hand. The golden light in his palm reappeared. Boom! Ah! Accompanied by a scream, Pei Qin was once again blasted away and his arm shattered on the spot. It actually bounced back. Pei Qin's body and mind trembled. Previously, when he felt the power bouncing back, he thought it was just an illusion, because in his opinion there couldn't be such a strange thing in the world. But this time, he felt it incomparably real. That shattered arm was also the best proof. How do you know this kind of battle art? Pei Qin looked at the inner demons in surprise. Because as far as he knew, there was another person who had mastered the same battle art. That was the infamous Qin Feiyang. What do you think? The inner demons licked his lips, raised his head and shouted ultimate ruins. An invisible force suddenly roared towards Pei Qin like a torrent. You're too arrogant. Pei Qin's eyes were cold, and a black aura broke out of his body. Not good. Retreat. Wu Kai and the others changed color and quickly retreated. What's the situation? The inner demons was surprised. The next moment, the black aura that appeared from Pei Qin's body suddenly turned into a black fog and pounced toward Qin Feiyang with overwhelming momentum. This black mist carried a strong fragrance. The inner demon smelled it and suddenly felt dizzy. Poisonous. His eyes trembled. He actually forgot that this old thing was also a poisonous creature. And it was even more terrifying than a viper. After all, it could even control a viper. He immediately held his breath and retreated. Haha, this poisonous gas is my biggest trump card. Comparable to a perfect battle art. Even if you hold your breath, you can't stop it because it will penetrate through your pores. Look carefully, your skin is already festering, and in less than 10 breaths, you will be smashed to pieces. Pei Qin laughed wildly, and his face was quite ferocious. The inner demons was shocked and hurriedly raised his hands and looked down. Sure enough, the skin on his hands had already shown signs of festering, and the black mist was like a gangrene attached to the bones, and once it stuck, it could not be shaken off. Kid, I admit that you are very strong, but there is a saying that the older the ginger, the spicier it is. You are still far from it. Pei Qin looked at him disdainfully. TSK, I let you take advantage of me a little, and you are so proud. Old man, your temperament still needs to be tempered. The inner demon shook his head and sneered. Looking at the roaring flaming beast shadow and the red sword spirit, a trace of despair crept into his eyes. Chapter 1045. No! Suddenly, Pei Qin's gaze trembled. The flaming beast shadow and the red sword aura were the same as Qin Feiyang's fighting soul. The same fighting soul, the same fighting art. Could he be Qin Feiyang? At the thought of this, a look of ecstasy appeared on his face as he shouted to Wu Kai. This person is Qin Feiyang. Quickly join hands with me and kill him. What? Qin Feiyang. Wu Kai and the others stared. I remember too. Qin Feiyang's perfect auxiliary fighting art is the same as the perfect auxiliary fighting art used by this person just now. Looks like I'm right. He is Qin Feiyang. The middle-aged woman shouted. Although they had never seen Qin Feiyang before, all the super forces had investigated Qin Feiyang very clearly. Therefore, they knew all the fighting arts that Qin Feiyang used in the 9 areas. Haha, you can wear out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it by chance. I didn't expect Qin Feiyang to be hiding in the internal sea. Wu Kai laughed in surprise and immediately rushed toward Pei Qin. The other 8 people also took action one after another. Both the main tower and the trading pavilion were looking for Qin Feiyang. As long as they could take down Qin Feiyang, they would definitely be rewarded handsomely. All 9 of them had perfect fighting arts and were extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they landed in front of Pei Qin. Boom! Their auras exploded and the 9 of them attacked at the same time. The cultivation of the 9 of them was similar. How terrifying was their joint attack! There was no suspense. The red sword soul and the flaming beast shadow shattered on the spot and turned into nothingness. The inner demons also spat out a mouthful of blood, but the ruthlessness on their faces intensified. Pei Qin heaved a sigh of relief and took a healing pill. He looked at the inner demons and grinned. Qin Feiyang, you finally showed up. And then, the inner demons joked. Haha, you dare to be so arrogant in front of so many of us? Do you really think you're invincible? Pei Qin laughed, his old eyes filled with mockery. Yes, I am Qin Feiyang, the inner demons said. Hearing the inner demons admit it personally, the 10 of them were even more delighted. The inner demons glanced at the 10 people with a mocking expression. However, since I dared to take the initiative to reveal my battle soul and use my battle art, I'm naturally not afraid of being seen through by you. The smiles on their faces froze. Do you know why? If you don't know, I'll tell you. That's because I never planned to let you all leave alive from the very beginning. The inner demons grinned. Haha, the 10 of them burst into laughter. Did you hear that? He said he was going to kill all of us? Laughable, truly laughable, haha. Pei Qin laughed the loudest and most joyfully. Suddenly, the middle-aged woman frowned. That's not right. If he is Qin Feiyang, then who is Ancestor Mu? I don't care who he is. Anyone who dares to kill the people of the exchange pavilion must die. A skinny middle-aged man stepped out. His aura was surging and his eyes were sharp. This man was the representative of the exchange pavilion. His name was Tan Jing. He had the cultivation of a 6-star combat emperor. The inner demons was slightly taken aback and asked suspiciously, when did I kill the people of the exchange pavilion? Didn't you kill Li He? Tan Jing's eyes were hazy. So it's him. The inner demons suddenly understood and didn't say anything else. Wu Kai also landed beside Tan Jing and said coldly, yes, let's attack together. We can't let him escape again. He was also a 6-star combat emperor. Among the 10 people, Wu Kai and Tan Jing were the strongest. The remaining 8 people, including Pei Qin, had a total of 5 5-star combat emperors. The remaining 3 people were all 4-star combat emperors. 3 4-star combat emperors, 5 5-star combat emperors, and 2 6-star combat emperors. Such a lineup could be said to be quite terrifying. However, the inner demons didn't show any fear. Instead, he had a look of disdain and said, let's not talk nonsense. Let's attack together. Even if you don't say it, we will attack together. Attack! Tan Jing shouted. The 10 people released their auras and turned into rays of flowing light. They rushed toward Qin Feiyang with murderous intent. This is more interesting. The inner demons was excited. The blood in his body was boiling. Boom! He activated the battle character art. The combination of battle intent and killing intent made him look like he was possessed by a demon god. Swoosh! He directly went up to meet them head-on and began to fight madly with the 10 of them. For a moment, the place was filled with battle blood and battle intent. The sky was dark and the earth was dark. Their loud bangs intertwined and shook the heavens. The terrifying shockwaves from the battle swept in all directions. The sea within a radius of a few hundred miles was set off monstrous waves. What happened on the island? Brother Mu didn't really fight with the people from the 9 super tribes in the trading pavilion, did he? Above the sea, Young Master Hao and Tanjing were retreating frantically while scanning the island in surprise. They were too far away to see the situation on the island. However, the overwhelming shockwaves from the battle made them feel fear and despair. He dares to fight with those people. How strong is he? On the other side of the sea, Wang Ziqing was also surprised. After separating from Wang Yu'er and Tanjing, he went around to the other side of the island. He wanted to sneak in and check the situation. However, before he could enter the island, the battle on the island broke out. He had to stop. The battle ripples that were pouncing towards him caused him to be extremely terrified. In the center of the island, the inner demons used the phantom steps. He was like a human-shaped beast fighting with blood. There was his own blood, as well as the blood of Wu Kai and the others. When they saw Qin Feiyang's purple gold dragon blood for the first time, Wu Kai and the others were really shocked. How could it be purple gold blood? And it also carried a vast dragon power? Was he the reincarnation of a divine dragon? As the battle became longer and longer, as the situation became more and more tragic, they found another incredible thing. Facing the 10 great war emperors, even if Qin Feiyang could deal with them, he would definitely suffer a lot. But the problem was here. No matter how they attacked, no matter how much blood Qin Feiyang lost, he was still full of energy. The battle intent he revealed was also getting more and more terrifying. Moreover, his injuries recovered very quickly. It was as if he had eaten a divine elixir. Over time, Wu Kai's group of 10 couldn't help but have an illusion. This person couldn't be an unkillable war god, right? Blood was splattering everywhere. The broken ground had been dyed red, and the air was filled with a pungent smell of blood. Boom! Suddenly, the inner demons raised his bloody arm. Golden light burst out and he threw out 10 palms in a row. The 10 of them were immediately sent flying. I'm not in the mood to play around with you guys. Show me your true abilities. The inner demon stuck out his tongue and licked the blood at the corner of his mouth. His body shook violently, and the red sword chi in his body poured out. Clang! Above his head, 50 flaming sword shadows immediately appeared. Waves of fire surged and illuminated the surroundings. Guiyuan sword technique. The number of Guiyuan sword technique was determined by one's cultivation. Now, after the increase in strength of the kill character art, his cultivation had stepped into the War Emperor realm. The inner demons could already condense 50 sword shadows. Each sword shadow contained the peak power of a perfect battle art. This is his other killing battle art. Everyone, don't let your guard down. Wu Kai's pupils constricted. After a loud shout, he also began to evolve his battle art. A Qilin appeared. It was dozens of feet tall and was extremely ferocious. Clang! Roar! Boom! Tanjing and Pei Qin's group of 9 also quickly evolved their strongest killing battle arts. There was a sharp blade that could destroy the world. There was a beast totem as large as a mountain. There was also a tornado storm that tore apart the heavens and earth. Kill! Everyone roared at the same time. The 10 killing battle arts carried a monstrous force as they blasted toward Jianing. A group of ants trying to shake a towering tree. How adorably stupid. The inner demons laughed disdainfully. He pressed his hand down and the 50 sword shadows furiously slashed forward. It was as if a divine weapon had appeared and was unstoppable. Crack! Boom! Let's go down. Chapter 1046. Just as the 10 of them landed on the ground, a destructive aura suddenly rushed out from the ground. It was an invisible force that contained the power to destroy the world. This change was beyond the expectations of Pei Qin and the others. Without any time to prepare, they were engulfed by the invisible force. Shrill screams resounded through the night sky. The 3 4-star combat emperors were killed on the spot, and their bodies were smashed into pieces. Pei Qin and the other 4 5-star combat emperors were also fatally injured. Their bodies were badly mutilated and their limbs were broken. They were basically crippled. Only Wu Kai and Tanjing were slightly better off. They were 6-star combat emperors and their physical bodies were stronger than the others. Even so, they were still severely injured. He's not dead. How is this possible? Although they had survived, their blood-stained faces were filled with disbelief. It should be known that Qin Feiyang was killed by their perfect battle art. Not to mention a mere 3-star combat emperor. Even a 6-star combat emperor wouldn't be able to survive. Is this guy really unkillable? Don't panic. Even if he's not dead, he must be severely injured, Tianjing said in a low voice. Wu Kai nodded and said, that's right. As long as we work together, killing him will be as easy as slaughtering a dog. Ha! You two are really naive and ridiculous. Accompanied by an arrogant laugh, the inner demons rushed out from the ground. He stood in the sky and looked down at Pei Qin and the others. His blood-red hair fluttered in the wind and his blood-red eyes were sharp. He was full of energy and there was no trace of weakness. Wu Kai and Tianjing were dumbfounded. He still looks so lively. Is this guy really the reincarnation of a monster? The inner demons glanced at the 7 of them and laughed. You want to take my corpse for your reward? Alright, don't say that I didn't give you a chance. My head is right here. Whoever has the ability can come and take it. Domineering. The 7 of them were shocked. They were considered old monsters who had been in the world for thousands of years. However, it was their first time seeing such a domineering young man. They could not help but feel a sense of fear in their hearts. Why aren't you moving? Are you that brave? Since you're not coming, I'll take the initiative to look for you. The inner demon's eyes flashed with a cold light. He placed his hands in front of his chest and formed a seal. A destructive wave suddenly rolled out from his hands. What is he doing? Pei Qin was bewildered. That fluctuation made him shudder involuntarily, as if something big was about to happen. Don't worry about it. Do your best to kill him. Tianjing roared. Clang! A warblade rushed into the sky. It was several hundred meters long and it was completely black. It emitted a shocking might. This was his fighting soul. Roar! Chirp! With a loud bang, the battle chi instantly disintegrated, and the invisible force continued to roar towards the sky. The battle chi dissipated, and the inner demons finally saw the people standing in the sky. There were 4 young men and women. All of them were as handsome as jade, with extraordinary temperament, and all of them were wearing white robes and long skirts. They stood in the clouds looking down at the inner demons, without any expression on their faces. But between their eyebrows, there was a pride that could not be ignored. How dare you sneak attack me, you're courting death. The inner demon smiled ferociously, leaped up and rushed towards the clouds. However, the 4 people just looked at him coldly. Let's go. Suddenly, a young man in white spoke, with a cold and emotionless tone. A woman in white next to him nodded, waved her jade-like hand, and an ancient stone door emerged. Clang! With the emergence of a holy aura, the stone door quickly opened. The gate of time and space. The inner demons stopped and looked at the stone door in surprise. But it was not the real gate of time and space but an imitation. However, the imitation gate of time and space was not in the hands of Mu Qing. I see. Suddenly, the inner demon showed a look of understanding, then looked at the 4 people and said jokingly, you should be the few people that Mu Qing mentioned. If I remember correctly, Mu Qing told me that you would come to find trouble with me. Why did you leave without even saying goodbye? The 4 people still did not say a word, but if one looked carefully, one would find that their hands were clenched tightly. I heard Mu Qing talking so seriously. I thought that you were some powerful people, but it turns out that you're just a few cowardly rats. The inner demon shook his head and laughed, full of contempt. I can't take it anymore. The young man in white who spoke first said, with cold light surging in his eyes. Ignore him. The woman in white who opened the gate of time and space said lightly, then led the 3 people into the gate of time and space without looking back. Rats. The inner demon smiled disdainfully, then looked around. The enemies were either dead or running away, and now they did not know what to do. It's so lonely to be invincible. I'd better go to my inner world. After a while, he shook his head and sighed, and was about to enter his inner world. But at this moment, the inner demon's eyes had a touch of surprise, and he turned to look at the other side of the island. He suddenly sensed a familiar aura sneaking into the island. Hee, I was worried that I couldn't find a chance to capture you. But I didn't expect you to send yourself to me. Then I won't be polite. Chapter 1047. At the same time, on the shore of the island, A young man wearing only underpants sneaked into the island. It was none other than Wang Zicheng. He stood on a small hillside, looking at the center of the island. The fluctuations have stopped. The battle is really over, but I don't know who won. But no matter who won, I have to be careful. He muttered a few words in a low voice and lurked in the direction of the volcano. Along the way, he was particularly careful, afraid of making the slightest noise. He also thought that no one knew that he had sneaked into the island. However, he did not know that soon after entering the island, someone was secretly watching him. After a while, Wang Zicheng came near the volcano, hid behind a rock, and looked in front. Damn, it's so tragic. When he saw the broken ground near the volcano, his pupils couldn't help but shrink. And on the ground, there were bits and pieces of bones and flesh everywhere. The smell of blood was pungent, as if it was a sure hell. There are so many bones, it should be those 10 people. Where's Ancestor Mu's brother? Why don't I see him? Forget it, let's go and see the alchemy fire first. Wang Zicheng walked out from behind the rock, looked around for a while, and ran toward the crater of the volcano. The volcano had disappeared, but the magma continued to erupt. He stood at the edge of the crater, looked down, carefully sensed for a while, and finally breathed a sigh of relief, muttering, "Fortunately, the alchemy fire is still there." "What are you looking at?" Suddenly, a suspicious voice came from behind him. Wang Zicheng's body stiffened, slowly turned around, and saw the inner demon's Qin Feiyang standing behind him. "Brother Mu, where did you go just now? I couldn't find you for a long time, I was worried sick," he asked with a concerned look, but his expression was very unnatural. "Is that so? Then why are you sneaking around like a thief?" the inner demons teased. "Oh no, did he find out long ago?" Wang Zicheng's body and mind tightened, and he smiled awkwardly. "I'm afraid of those 10 people. The inner demons mocked. "They've already been killed. Their bones are all here." Wang Zicheng glanced at the skeletons on the ground and said in admiration, "Big Brother Mu is truly unparalleled. This little brother admires you." The inner demons chuckled. "You flatter me. Actually, I admire you. You're the first one who dares to play tricks in front of me." "Me? Playing tricks?" Wang Zicheng panicked and quickly waved his hand. No, Big Brother Mu, what are you talking about? How could I dare to play tricks in front of you? Do you know? Often, people who think they are very smart are actually stupid idiots. You are such a person." The inner demon's eyes turned cold. They pressed Wang Zicheng to the ground and said, "Brat, you're lucky. If it weren't for your talent and potential, you would have turned into a pile of bones." After saying that, he stepped on Wang Zicheng's back, immobilizing him. Then, he formed a seal with both hands, and an enslavement seal quickly appeared and entered the top of Wang Zicheng's head. Wang Zicheng howled miserably and said in shock and anger, "Big Brother Mu, what did you do to me? I wonder if you've heard of the enslavement seal? Right now, your little life is already in my hands. If you dare to be presumptuous, I will kill you. But don't be depressed because you're not the first. Viper Danwangkai and Black Monkey have all become my slaves." The inner demons lifted his foot and released Wang Zicheng. Wang Zicheng immediately got up and looked at the inner demons in shock. "You don't believe me?" the inner demons said. "I'd be a ghost if I believed you." Wang Zicheng cursed and turned to run. "Naive." The inner demon shook his head and sneered. With a thought, Wang Zicheng immediately staggered and fell to the ground. He held his head and screamed. "It hurts. This is true. I, Wang Zicheng, have actually become another slave. I don't want to," Wang Zicheng muttered to himself. His face was full of disbelief. Finally, he roared and took out the holy dagger and rushed toward the inner demons. "You've got some backbone, but you're still far from it." The inner demons sneered and kicked Wang Zicheng's lower abdomen. With a cry, Wang Zicheng was sent flying and fell to the ground heavily, biting a mouthful of mud. "I'll never be another slave. Kill me." He ignored the pain and looked up at the inner demons with a ferocious expression. "Not bad, not bad. You've got more backbone than Viper and the others. But the more you act like this, the more I like you. You don't want to submit? It's okay, I won't force you. You can stay by my side for now. Sooner or later, I'll make you submit of your own accord." The inner demons smiled confidently. Dream on. Wang Ziqing roared. Then we'll see. Now I'll give you a mission. Go and tell Wang Yuer and young master how to return to the island where we met before. My brother Mu ancestor will go and find them soon. The inner demons said. Why should I go just because you ask me to? Wang Ziqing raised his eyebrows. You have to think clearly. If I kill you now, I won't lose anything, but you'll lose your life for nothing. On the contrary, if you listen to me and live well, maybe you'll find a chance to turn things around in the future. The inner demons smiled. Wang Ziqing's expression was uncertain. A moment later, he glared at the inner demons fiercely, then got up and flew in the direction of Wang Yuer and young master Hao. The inner demons immediately took out the image crystal. Buzz! Soon, the shadow of the viper appeared. Looking at Qin Feiyong at this moment, Viper's pupils contracted and he said in surprise, You can't be. The inner demons coldly said, Yes, I'm the inner demons, and now I'm in control of this body. Viper's eyes trembled, and he hurriedly knelt in the void and respectfully said, Master, what orders do you have? The inner demons said, I'm now at the birthplace of the pill fire. You immediately deceive the big bull and the others. Good. I'll do it right away. Viper nodded, and then the shadow dissipated. At the same time, in a certain mountain there's a behemoth. This is the Mujia. In the conference hall, the Mujia's patriarch sat on the main seat, and the Mujia's great ancestor and second ancestor sat on both sides of the table. Behind the Mujia's patriarch, there's a young man in purple standing, it's Mu Qing. Opposite them, there are 4 young men and women standing respectfully. It's the 4 people who attacked the inner demons before, but the result was that they fled without a fight. At this moment, the woman in white who opened the gate of time and space was holding an image crystal in her hand. The image crystal exuded a hazy light, and a picture flashed in the void above. The picture showed the scene of the inner demons and Pei Qin's 10 people fighting. The Mujia's patriarch, great ancestor, second ancestor, and Mu Qing all stared at the picture, and their expressions were extremely heavy. Soon, the picture disappeared. The woman in white put away the image crystal and looked at the Mujia's patriarch. The patriarchs didn't speak, and the atmosphere was very dignified. No one knows how long has passed. The Mujia's patriarch looked up at the 4 people and frowned. What happened? How did he suddenly become so strong? We don't know. When he came, he was already like this. The woman in white shook her head. The Mujia's patriarch raised his eyebrows, turned to look at the great ancestor and second ancestor, and said, 2 ancestors, do you think he's Qin Feiyong? The great ancestor said, From what he said at the end, we can basically conclude that he's Qin Feiyong. Then what the hell is going on? Before going to Qinghai, he was still a battle saint. How long has it been since then? How did he become a 3-star combat emperor? Isn't this too outrageous? The Mujia's patriarch frowned. The great ancestor and second ancestor also couldn't figure it out. The second ancestor suddenly looked at Mu Qing and asked, Qinger, you're more familiar with Qin Feiyong than us. Do you know what's going on? I'm basically clear about his methods, but this time I really don't understand. Mu Qing rubbed her head and looked a little irritated. The great ancestor sighed. It seems that this child still has a lot of unknown methods, and the threat to us is getting bigger and bigger. The Mujia's patriarch nodded. Yes, he's almost out of our control. Father, what you said is wrong. When did we really control him? Mu Qing rolled her eyes. The Mujia's patriarch was stunned, and then he couldn't help but smile bitterly. Yes. From the beginning to the end, they've never really controlled Qin Feiyong. They've always been in a relationship of mutual cooperation and mutual use. In short, we can't let him grow anymore. Otherwise, in the future, our Mujia will definitely fall into his hands. The great ancestor was worried. His old eyes flashed with a sharp light. Mu Qing was surprised. Great ancestor, do you mean to make a move on him now? Aren't you asking the obvious? Definitely not now. However, once we enter the miracle and achieve our goal, we'll eliminate him as soon as possible. In short, we can't let him come back alive. The great ancestor said. The Mujia's patriarch and the second ancestor nodded in agreement. In addition, we must find out the reason why his cultivation soared. Qinger, I'll leave this matter to you. The great ancestor looked at Mu Qing and said, Okay. Mu Qing nodded. Then that's it. After the great ancestor finished speaking, he got up and left with the second ancestor. The Mujia's patriarch also got up and looked at the four people in white. The miracle is about to open. You four are the pillars of our Mujia. You must hurry up and cultivate. Yes. The four people respectfully responded. The Mujia's patriarch said a few more words to Mu Qing and left the great council hall. Sigh. What a pain in the ass. Originally I wanted to let you guys suffer a little, but I didn't expect that the result would be you guys running away in a panic. How can I face him in the future? Mu Qing looked at the four people in white with anger. Young lord, we don't like to hear this. That's right, you don't even look at his current cultivation. How can we deal with him? If you have the ability, then go ahead. The four people looked at Mu Qing with dissatisfaction. But more than that, they felt humiliated. As the patriarch said, they're the kings of the younger generation of the Mujia. They have inviolable majesty. It's the first time they've run away without a fight. He carefully sized up the inner demons. Time slowly passed. Whoosh! After an unknown amount of time, two ear-piercing sounds could be heard. Dan Wangkai and the black monkey flew through the air and landed in front of the inner demons. They bowed and said, "Greetings, Master." Master? Wang Ziqing was stunned. He originally thought that the inner demons was just joking. He didn't expect to be captured. Looking at Wang Ziqing, Dan Wangkai and the black monkey felt ashamed. The inner demons opened his eyes and glanced at the two of them. He asked suspiciously, "Why are you here?" "Not long ago we received a message from Viper. He said that you were doing something here, so we rushed over to see if we could help." The black monkey winked and smiled flatteringly. The inner demons chuckled and said, "You're quite sensible. I'll reward you with a potential pill later." "Thank you, Master." The two of them were overjoyed. "Wait, what action? What potential pill? Can someone explain it to me?" Wang Ziqing hurriedly asked. "This." The black monkey and the black monkey glanced at Wang Ziqing, then looked at the inner demons with a questioning gaze. They were obviously asking if they should tell Wang Ziqing. The inner demons didn't say anything and closed his eyes again. The two of them didn't dare to say anything and stood respectfully on both sides of the inner demons. What's going on? Wang Ziqing looked at the three of them anxiously but didn't answer him. Whoosh! Soon after, Viper also came and said respectfully, "Master, I've already informed Barbarian Bull and the others. I believe they'll be here soon." The inner demons didn't open his eyes. He nodded and said, "You did well. I'll reward you with a potential pill later." "Thank you, Master." Without a doubt, Viper was also overjoyed. Seeing Viper's expression, Wang Ziqing was even more surprised. What was a potential pill? Why were the three of them so excited? He glanced at the inner demons, then turned his eyes to Viper and secretly transmitted his voice, "Old Viper, we're on good terms, right?" Viper was stunned for a moment, then said indifferently, "Don't try to get close to me, I'm not familiar with you." Wang Ziqing's face stiffened, and he was furious in his heart. He secretly laughed and said, "Don't be like this, at most I'll return Viper number 1 to you. Just tell me, what exactly is a potential pill?" "No need." Viper turned his head and looked elsewhere, appearing incomparably cold. "Fuck. You don't even want Viper number 1? Wang Ziqing was completely shocked. One must know that Viper number 1 was a sacred artifact, but for the potential pill, Viper didn't even care about sacred artifacts. Could it be that this potential pill was a divine item? Torment. Right now, every minute and every second was torment for Wang Ziqing. Boom! Suddenly, the speed of the eruption of magma from the volcano behind them suddenly increased. Next, an aura comparable to a war saint roared out from the volcano. The inner demons immediately stood up and released his battle chi, forming a battle chi barrier to block the surging magma. Then he turned around and looked at the volcano. At the same time, Wang Ziqing, Viper and the other two also turned around and looked at the volcano in shock. Suddenly, Dan Wangkai said in surprise, "The alchemy fire inside the volcano has taken shape and is about to be born." Heard of it? The inner demon's spirit was lifted. With this cluster of 7th grade alchemy fire and Dan Wangkai's alchemy fire, the nether devil flame could be upgraded to 8th grade. 8th grade alchemy fire. That was an existence comparable to war emperors. Although alchemy fire was usually used for alchemy, sometimes it could also be used for battle. For example, in the future, if they encountered a 9-star war saint like Wang Zicheng, they wouldn't even need to make a move. As long as they revived the nether devil flame, they would be able to kill a large number of them in an instant. Whoosh! It was also at this moment. On the distant sea, figures broke through the air like lightning. There were a total of 6 people, 4 young men and 2 young women. Their auras were unfathomable. This aura, Big Barbarian Bull looked at the island, his rough face full of surprise. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and roared. The alchemy fire is about to be born. Everyone hurry up. The alchemy fire is about to be born. The other 5 people's eyes trembled and immediately used a mysterious footwork, shooting toward the island. They're coming. At the same time, Viper also sensed the aura of Big Barbarian Bull and the other 5 people. The inner demons raised his head and looked at the 6 people. Light flashed in his eyes and in the next moment, he disappeared without a trace. Did he go to the castle? Or did he use the invisibility technique? Wang Zicheng and the other 3 people looked at the void in surprise. Not long after, Big Barbarian Bull and the other 5 people landed on top of the volcano and looked down at Viper and the other 3 people. You're all here so soon? The 6 people were surprised. Dan Wangkai coldly snorted. As the #1 alchemist in Qinghai, how can I let the alchemy fire fall into the hands of trash like you? Of course you have to come early. Yes, when it comes to alchemy, you, Dan Wangkai, have the most right to speak, but it won't be easy for you to get this alchemy fire. One of the young men sneered. This person was about 1.8 meters tall. He was neither fat nor thin, but his face was as pale as paper. His dark eyes were filled with a trace of gloominess. Dan Wangkai raised his eyebrows and looked at the young man. Dead face, you're not an alchemist. What do you want the alchemy fire for? Isn't this a waste of God's gift? I'm happy to. The man called Dead Face sneered. Swish. Then, Big Barbarian Bull and the other 5 people landed beside Wang Zicheng and the other 3 people and stared at the volcano. Cut the crap. The alchemy fire is about to be born. Let's use our own methods. One of the women said. She was wearing a black suit that outlined her graceful figure. Her hair was tied together, making her look valiant and formidable. There were 2 daggers on her waist. Although they were hidden in the scabbards, they couldn't hide their sharp edge. Big Barbarian Bull said, okay, let's do as the Ghost Queen said. We'll use our own methods. Hearing that, Viper, Dan Wangkai, and the Black Monkey looked at the 6 people, then looked at each other with a trace of ridicule in their eyes. With the inner demons Qin Feiyong here, who could snatch this cluster of alchemy fire? Right, Viper. Big Barbarian Bull looked at Viper and asked, didn't you say that Ancestor Mu is here? Why don't I see him? The other 5 people were also puzzled. Hehe, finally everyone is here. A sinister laugh spread out. The inner demons appeared out of thin air, but at this moment, the inner demons hid their cultivation. It's really you. Big Barbarian Bull and the other 5 people's pupils shrank. They immediately spread out and surrounded the inner demons. The inner demons didn't move at all. They just looked at them playfully. The woman called Ghost Queen said, Viper, don't forget our agreement. When we take him down, give each of us a bottle of sacred water. Sure, as long as you have the ability. Viper snickered. At the same time, Dan Wangkai and the Black Monkey's faces were also full of ridicule. Wang Zicheng looked at the expressions of Viper and the other 2, then looked at Big Barbarian Bull and the other 5, and finally looked at the inner demons Qin Feiyong. His brows were tightly knitted together. Suddenly, his gaze trembled as he quickly looked at Big Barbarian Bull and the other 5 and shouted, this is a scam, run. Scam? The 6 people were stunned. The inner demons turned to look at Wang Zicheng and grinned. It seems that you've already guessed it. Unfortunately, it's too late. As soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying emperor's aura appeared and instantly enveloped the entire place. Big Barbarian Bull and the other 5 were immediately imprisoned in the void. However, their faces were filled with disbelief. How could it be Emperor's aura? Wasn't he a battle saint? And why were the expressions of Viper and the other 2 so strange? What the hell is going on? Sigh. Wang Ziqing sighed deeply. Although everyone had opened the gate of potential, they had only opened the first level. They could barely break the pressure of a 1-star battle saint, but it was impossible for a 3-star battle saint. Too late. Chapter 1049. The 6 of them were still living in a dream. Whoosh! The inner demons formed a seal with both hands, and 6 enslavement seals appeared one after another, quickly controlling the 6 of them. Dan Wangkai smiled and said, "Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to all of you for joining Master's forces." Master? The 6 of them looked at each other. That's called an enslavement seal. It can control everyone's soul. In other words, your lives are now in the Master's hands. Remember, don't have any thoughts of disobedience. Master only needs a single thought to erase your souls. I believe I don't need to tell you what it means to have your soul erased. Dan Wangkai, the Viper, and the Black Monkey wore smiles on their faces. The 10 heroes of Qinghai were all captured, and now they felt much better. However, Big Barbarian Bull's group of 6 turned pale with fright. There was actually such a thing. They finally understood what Wang Ziqing meant by a scam. The Phantom Queen glanced at Dan Wangkai and the other 2 and said angrily, "Not only are you captured, but you also dragged us into the water. You are simply bastards." Viper smiled and said, "Don't worry. Although you hate us now, you will thank us later." Thank us? The 6 of them sneered as if they had heard the biggest joke in the world, and their eyes were gloomy to the extreme. "You don't believe me? Then let's wait and see," Viper said. The inner demons glanced at everyone and said with a smile, "Okay, introduce yourselves." The 10 monsters of Qinghai were finally all under his command, and he was in a very good mood now. Humph! The 6 of them snorted coldly and remained silent. "Are you all mute?" The inner demon's eyes turned cold, and with a thought, the 6 of them immediately held their heads and howled. The big bull said angrily, "We are so familiar with each other. Do we still need to introduce ourselves?" The inner demon stopped operating the enslavement seal and looked at the big bull. "You don't need to, but what about you?" He looked at the Phantom Queen and the other 4. Deadface took a step forward and said, "My name is Deadface. That's what everyone calls me." The inner demons glanced at the pale face of the dead man and nodded. "It does look like a dead man's face." Deadface clenched his hands, held back the anger in his heart, and retreated to the side. The Ghost Empress stepped forward and said, "My name is the Ghost Empress." The inner demons scrutinized the Spectre Queen. This woman's attire fully accentuated her alluring figure, and her skin was as soft and smooth as mutton fat. The most attractive thing about her was her eyes, which were sparkling and translucent like gemstones. It was no exaggeration to say that this woman's beauty was comparable to Wang Yuer's. The inner demons licked his lips and chuckled. "You're my type. Are you interested in being my woman?" Scram. The Spirit Queen's face darkened. The inner demon shook his head in disappointment. "She does look good, but her personality is too fiery. She's not suitable for me." Next. Another woman stepped forward. There were only 2 women among the 10 elites of the Qinghai Sea. The first one was the Ghost Empress and the second one was her. This woman was wearing a snow-white dress. Her figure was exquisite, her long hair fluttered, and her facial features were exquisite. In terms of beauty, she was not inferior to the Ghost Empress, but her face was as cold as frost, like a piece of ice. Ice Empress. After saying that, the woman stepped aside and fell silent. Like her name, she gave people a sense of coldness that kept people thousands of miles away. The inner demons looked at the remaining 3 young men. These 3 people were about 1.78 meters tall. Their facial features were as sharp as knives, and they were full of resoluteness and sharpness. They all had long fiery red hair. And if one looked carefully, they would find that they were similar in size and age, and even their expressions and appearances were very similar. The inner demons asked, "Are you brothers?" "Yes." The 3 of them nodded. "Triplets?" The inner demons asked again. The 3 of them nodded again. The inner demon's face twitched. He had encountered triplets. Wasn't he too lucky? But then again, the 3 brothers were able to become one of the 10 elites of the Qinghai Sea. Their genes were extraordinarily strong. The inner demons asked, What are your nicknames? One of them said, My name is God 1. My two brothers are God 2 and God 3. That's easy to remember. The inner demons nodded. Then he looked at Wang Ziqing and said playfully, Everyone has a nickname. What's yours? Wang Ziqing's face immediately showed a trace of awkwardness when he heard that. Viper smiled obsequiously and said, Master, he's a person who only cares about profits. He often backstabs people, so we all call him villain. Wang Ziqing's veins were bulging. He roared, Are you done, Viper? You've always been this kind of person. Why are you afraid of others talking about you? Viper sneered. Wang Ziqing gritted his teeth. His eyes were spitting fire. Haha, the inner demon laughed out loud. Then, he looked at Wang Ziqing and said in all seriousness, Let me say something fair. This nickname suits you very well. Get lost. Wang Ziqing shouted angrily. This nickname to him was a big stain in his life. Enough. The inner demon's face turned cold. He glanced at the 10 of them and said, Now that you are all my servants, I don't want to see you fighting openly and secretly. If I find out who is playing tricks behind my back, don't blame me for being ruthless. Looking at the inner demon's blood-red eyes, the 10 of them could not help but tremble. Boom! At this moment, accompanied by a deafening sound, a terrifying aura erupted from the volcano. Following closely, a fiery red stream of light rushed out of the magma. It was a cluster of flames about the size of a palm. Waves of fire surged, emitting an extremely high temperature. Alchemy fire. Wang Ziqing and the others' eyes lit up. They instinctively glanced at the alchemy fire. The inner demons ignored them and let the 10 of them snatch it. In the end, Dan Wangkai was the first to grab the alchemy fire. He stood in the air, looking down at the alchemy fire, his face full of excitement. Dan Wangkai, put it down. The great barbarian bull shouted. Think. Dan Wangkai smiled disdainfully and quickly swooped down. He respectfully handed the alchemy fire to the inner demons. Very good. The inner demons smiled and nodded. He reached out and grabbed the alchemy fire. He looked up at the great barbarian bull and the others and sneered, Do you still want it? The expressions of the great barbarian bull and the others froze. It was only now that they realized that they had no choice. Even if they managed to snatch it, they would have to obediently hand it over. Don't do it again. A hint of killing intent flashed in the eyes of the inner demons. Everyone suddenly felt as if they had fallen into a sea of killing intent. They could not help but feel chills all over their bodies. Viper hurriedly flew in front of the inner demons and said with a flattering smile, Master, this is a misunderstanding. I went to snatch it for you. Yes. How would we dare to take it for ourselves? The black monkey echoed. Looking at the two's fawning and cowardly appearance, Wang Ziqing and the others could not help but secretly despise them. Clap! Wonderful! Wonderful! Suddenly, there was a burst of applause, followed by hoarse laughter. Everyone was shocked. They turned their heads in unison and looked at a broken mountain not far away, because the applause and laughter came from behind the hill. Who's playing tricks over there? The black monkey shouted. Before he finished speaking, an old man walked out. He was wearing a bright red robe. His face was ruddy and his eyes were full of spirit. If one looked closely, one would find that his left sleeve was empty. It was obviously a broken arm. It's you. The inner demons was surprised. This old man was the one-armed old man they met at the seaside back then. Old bastard, you've finally shown yourself. But at the same time, Wang Ziqing's angry roar sounded. The inner demons was slightly taken aback. They turned to look at Wang Ziqing suspiciously, only to see Wang Ziqing's face full of anger and killing intent. They looked at Viper and the others, who also had a look of fear. Do you know him? The inner demons asked secretly. Viper whispered, of course, because he's the one who stole Wang Ziqing's Sage King title. So it's him. The inner demons murmured. Old bastard, die. Wang Ziqing was like an angry beast. He took a step forward and threw a punch at the one-armed old man. The one-armed old man's face turned cold. It seems that the lesson from last time hasn't taught you a lesson yet. After saying that, he did not do anything, but a terrifying aura emerged and directly blasted Wang Ziqing away. Wang Ziqing fell to the ground in a sorry state, creating a deep pit. Then with a cry he spat out a mouthful of blood. So strong! The inner demon's pupils shrank. The aura released by the old man carried a terrifying emperor's aura. Moreover, this emperor's aura was stronger than his. Boom! At the same time, seeing that Wang Ziqing was seriously injured, Viper and the others also released their auras. They stared coldly at the one-armed old man, ready to fight to the death. Don't be impulsive, the inner demon shouted. He looked at the one-armed old man and cupped his fists. May I ask when Senior arrived? This was a very serious problem. If the one-armed old man had arrived earlier, then the battle between him and Pei Qin and the others would have been seen by the old man. Then, his true identity would have been known by the one-armed old man. The one-armed old man pointed at Barbarian Bull's group and said, "When you subdued them, this old man was already here." The inner demons breathed a sigh of relief. When he subdued Barbarian Bull's group, the battle had already ended. Therefore, this old man still did not know that he was Qin Feiyang. The next problem was easy to solve. He just needed to figure out the one-armed old man's purpose in coming here. The inner demons was puzzled. Then what is Senior doing here? Is it also for the alchemic fire? The one-armed old man smiled. The alchemic fire is only secondary. You are this old man's main target. There was a cold glint in his old eyes. The inner demon's heart trembled. It seemed that the old man did not come with good intentions. However, he did not understand. If this old man really wanted to kill him, why didn't he make a move earlier? Most importantly, he had only seen this old man twice, let alone have any grudges. Why was he targeting him? He asked calmly, "Senior, what do you mean by that? Why can't this junior understand?" The one-armed old man said, "Before answering this question, I want to know, are you admiring your ancestors?" Yes. The inner demons hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he nodded truthfully. I really am admiring my ancestors. Wang Ziqing's heart trembled as he looked at the inner demons in shock. Chapter 1050. The one-armed old man's reaction was the same as Wang Ziqing's. He looked at the inner demons in surprise. After a long time, he came back to his senses and asked, "How did you do it?" The inner demons raised his eyebrows and said, "This is Junior's privacy. Isn't it inappropriate for Senior to ask this?" Is it inappropriate? The one-armed old man's eyes flashed with a hint of ridicule. The Emperor's might was like a waterfall, covering the sky and earth, instantly imprisoning Qin Feiyang, Wang Ziqing, and the other 10 people. Then, the one-armed old man looked at the inner demons and said jokingly, "Then is it appropriate now? Senior, are you looking for trouble?" The inner demons also had a trace of hostility between his brows. He was the inner demons, the embodiment of all evil. It was not easy for him to make such a concession, but this one-armed old man did not know how to restrain himself at all. He was becoming more and more presumptuous, and was about to infuriate him. The one-armed old man laughed sinisterly. "No, this old man is not here to find trouble. I am here to kill you under orders." "Under orders?" The inner demons was surprised and asked, "Under whose orders? That's none of your business. Answer this old man. As long as you tell this old man the truth, this old man will give you a quick death." The one-armed old man laughed arrogantly. Heard. The inner demons calmed down and said with a smile, "Okay, I'll tell you. Some time ago, I found a ruin and found a few divine pills inside." "What divine pills?" The one-armed old man hurriedly asked, his eyes full of greed. The inner demons grinned and said, "I don't know what divine pill it is. I only know that when I took a divine pill, my cultivation soared like a rocket." The one-armed old man's eyes trembled and said hurriedly, "What about the rest? Hand it over." The inner demon said with grievance, "You're using the Emperor's might to imprison me. How can I hand it over?" The one-armed old man looked at the inner demons for a while and said in a deep voice, "Are you playing with this old man? I'm about to lose my life. How would I dare to play with you? Really, I'm not lying to you." The inner demons said solemnly, "You won't be able to do much anyway." The one-armed old man smiled disdainfully and then withdrew his Emperor's aura. "Just you wait." The inner demon sneered. She reached her hands into her bosom and rubbed them hard. Previously, when he fought with Pei Qin and the other 10 people, there was a lot of dirt on his body. Soon, he rubbed out a ball of dirt the size of a pellet. Here. Then he chuckled, took out a ball of mud, and threw it to the one-armed old man. The one-armed old man grabbed it expectantly, but when he looked at it, his expression changed. He put it to his nose and sniffed it. There was also the stench of sweat. "How dare you trick me?" He suddenly raised his head and stared at the inner demons. His ferocious eyes looked as if he wanted to eat someone. The inner demon showed an aggrieved expression and said, "I'm not lying to you. This is a divine pill. Try it if you don't believe me." Puff. Wang Ziqing and the others were all amused. Even the Frosty Ice Queen couldn't help but laugh. Treating dirt as a divine pill and bragging as if it was real, this guy was too much of a bastard. The one-armed old man's face was as calm as water. He waved his old hand, and the ball of mud turned into a stream of light and shot toward the inner demon's forehead. And now this ball of mud was no longer a simple ball of mud. It contained the one-armed old man's battle chi, which was comparable to divine iron. The inner demon sneered, quickly raised his arm and grabbed the ball of mud. Immediately, huge force came over. He took a few steps back in a sorry state, and a wisp of purple gold dragon blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. What a strong force! The inner demons was shocked, and his arm was numb. Then he laughed and said, "You don't want such a good thing. You really have no taste." But the one-armed old man turned a deaf ear to him. He stared at the purple gold dragon blood on the corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth, his old eyes full of surprise. How can his blood be this color? The Spirit Queen and the others also looked at Qin Feiyang in disbelief. In fact, there had always been purple gold dragon blood on Qin Feiyang's body, which was left when he fought with Pei Qin and the others. It was just that when they first saw it, they didn't take it seriously. They thought it might be some kind of liquid spurted out by some sea beast. However, they never expected that it was the blood that flowed out from Qin Feiyang's body. The inner demons pursed his lips and said lightly, "I'm the reincarnation of the purple gold divine dragon. What's the fuss about?" Purple gold divine dragon. Everyone's eyes trembled. They knew that Qin Feiyang was just joking, but there was indeed a dragon's power in the blood. "You didn't come out. You hid it so well. If I'm not wrong, you should be the descendant of the Qin Emperor," the one-armed old man said in a deep voice. This time it was the inner demons who were shocked. In his inner world, Qin Feiyang also turned pale with fright. He had long thought that the exposure of the purple gold dragon blood might expose his identity, but he didn't expect it to really come true. No. How did this old man know about the Qin Emperor? One had to know. Not long ago, Pei Qin and the others also saw the purple gold dragon blood, but none of them recognized it. But now this old man recognized it at a glance. Could it be that this person's status was higher than Pei Qin and the others? Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes were filled with deep disbelief. He thought of the main tower, because this kind of secret was only known by the people of the main tower. But because of this, he found it hard to believe. If his guess was true, and the one-armed old man was really from the main tower, then when he said that he was following orders, wasn't he following the orders of the main tower master? He didn't believe that the main tower master wanted to harm him. After all, he was now the personal disciple of the main tower master, and had received the inheritance of the first main tower master. He was already the next successor of the main tower master. Moreover, young Master Hao and he were also as close as brothers. The main tower master had no reason to harm him. But besides the main tower master, who else could it be? Suddenly, he thought of another thing. He remembered that Mu Qing had said something to him. The main tower master might not pass the position to him. He also said he didn't know much about the main tower master, but the Mu family knew everything. However, there were some things that couldn't be said clearly. In the end, Mu Qing also warned him to be careful. The person that Mu Qing told him to be careful of was no one else but the main tower master. Could it really be him? Recalling what Mu Qing had said, Qin Feiyang's heart began to waver. Perhaps this upright chief pagoda master was truly a despicable person. Then if this guess was true, Wouldn't it be a conspiracy for the main tower master to let him and young master how come to experience? It was terrifying to think about. Whether it was Qin Feiyong himself or the inner demons, they didn't dare to think about it anymore. Because if it was true, then the main tower master was too shrewd. In the blink of an eye, seeing the inner demons looking at him in shock, the one-armed old man laughed in surprise and said, "It seems that this old man guessed right. The descendant of the Qin emperor, you are really a big fish." The Qin emperor? Wang Ziqing and the others looked at each other. Listening to the one-armed old man's tone, the Qin emperor seemed to be a very great person? What should we do? The inner demon stared at the one-armed old man gloomily and asked secretly, "Since he has seen through it, there is no need to hide it. Cripple him and force him to tell us who is behind it." Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice. This matter must be investigated clearly, otherwise, he would not be able to sleep and eat in peace. Understood. The inner demon smiled and looked at the one-armed old man and said, "Yes, I am the descendant of the Qin emperor, and I am Qin Feiyong." Qin Feiyong? The one-armed old man was shocked and took a while to recover. He shook his head and said, "Qin Feiyong Qin Batian, we should have known that you are the descendant of the Qin emperor. Who is this we? The main tower? Or the main tower master?" The inner demons immediately asked with lightning speed. "Main." The one-armed old man instinctively opened his mouth, but after saying one word, he suddenly came back to his senses. "Little bastard, how dare you trick this old man? You are courting death." His face immediately became ferocious and the emperor's aura exploded. The island suddenly broke apart and shook violently. This emperor's aura. He is a 7-star combat emperor. Wang Ziqing and the others suddenly changed color, and their eyes were filled with fear. So what if he is a 7-star combat emperor? Break for me. The inner demon's blood-red hair fluttered and the emperor's aura that imprisoned everyone was instantly broken. Immediately after, he waved his hand and a supreme force emerged. Wang Ziqing and the others were immediately sent away from the island. "Old man, the person you should not provoke the most is me." The inner demons formed a seal with both hands and the divine dragon seal appeared in an instant. "Who do you think you are? How dare you be so arrogant? Watch, killing you is like slaughtering a dog." The one-armed old man's eyes were full of contempt. He waved his arm and the battle chi rushed into the sky like a waterfall. The next moment, a large hand that covered the sky appeared and exuded a sharp aura that could destroy the world. It slammed toward the inner demons. "Trash." The inner demons sneered. The divine dragon seal broke through the sky and turned into a huge divine seal. Its divine aura shook all directions. Boom! In an instant, the two behemoths collided and a destructive aura rolled out in all directions with the two as the center. Crack! Crash! Half of the broken island disappeared in an instant. Huge waves rolled in and drowned the sky. At the same time, the invincible divine dragon seal was shattered by the giant hand. Then the giant hand that covered the sky fell like lightning and hit the inner demons. Poof! The inner demon spurted out blood on the spot. Bloody wounds appeared on his body and blood flowed out like a waterfall. Boom! In the end, he crashed into the island below like a blood-stained meteorite. So powerful. In the distance, Wang Ziqing and the others' pupils contracted. Viper said in a deep voice, "Although Master's divine dragon seal is a divine art, the one-armed old man's cultivation is 4 small realms higher than him. I'm afraid this battle is a little difficult." Yeah. Facing such an absolute suppression in cultivation, even if he uses all his means, he might not win. Dan Wangkai said. "Wait, what did you say? The divine dragon seal he used just now is a divine art?" Barbarian Bull and the others looked at Viper and Dan Wangkai in surprise. "Yes, and he has mastered more than one divine art. When I fought with him on Viper Island, my forbidden technique was instantly destroyed by his other divine art." Viper said with a self-deprecating expression. The forbidden technique was the biggest trump card of the 10 heroes of the Azure Sea. It was also the fundamental reason why they could dominate the inland sea. However, it was so vulnerable to a divine art. He even has a divine art. Chapter 1051. High up in the sky. The one-armed old man stood proudly, as if the god of death had descended, cold as frost. Below, the inner demons had sunk into the ground and were on the verge of death. In the distance, Wang Zicheng and the others were all nervous. They knew that if Qin Feiyang died here, then they might also be killed by the one-armed old man. The Qin emperors might shook the four seas. As his descendant, is this all you can do? It seems that the Qin emperor has no successor. Haha, the one-armed old man laughed wildly, his old face full of ridicule. Boom! Accompanied by a loud noise, the inner demons rushed out from the ground, his body covered in blood. One of his arms was also shattered, and the bowl-sized wound was shocking, looking extremely tragic. How much ability I have, you are not qualified to judge, nor are you qualified to blaspheme my ancestor. Old bastard, be prepared for it. He stared at the one-armed old man, his eyes filled with a bone-chilling killing intent. Boom! All of a sudden, a vast aura rushed out of his body, as if a god was awakening in his body, and it emitted a great pressure. The surrounding void distorted. The sea huge waves rolled. Even the sky was trembling. What's going on? What is this vast aura? It actually makes me feel despair. It's more than despair. I feel as if a god is standing in front of me. This aura surpasses the War Emperor. Could it be that there is really a god hiding in his body? Wang Zicheng and the others suddenly changed their expressions. The one-armed old man's face also darkened, because this aura made him feel inexplicably flustered. The inner demons smiled sinisterly and roared at the sky. The third move of the Dragon God technique, Supreme Ruler. Boom! Woo-woo! In an instant. In the sky, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled and strong winds blew. Rays of purple gold divine light tore through the dark clouds, like the curtain of the Milky Way, and fell down. This sea suddenly turned into a purple gold ocean. The third move of the Dragon God technique. Viper's heart trembled. The first move, the Dragon God seal, the second move, he had seen them all, but he did not expect there to be a third move, Supreme Ruler. Such a domineering name, how heaven-defying was this move? I won't give you a chance. The one-armed old man could no longer sit still. It was obvious that the inner demons were using some kind of heaven-defying battle art. Otherwise it wouldn't have made him feel so uneasy. Therefore, he had to forcefully interrupt the battle art before it took shape. Whoosh! He used a mysterious footwork and dashed toward the inner demons like lightning. Hey! The inner demons grinned and used phantom step to retreat. Meanwhile, with a wave of his hand, the purple gold dragon chi in his body poured out like a waterfall and rushed into the clouds. Boom! In less than the blink of an eye, the purple gold dragon aura collided with the purple gold divine light that was descending from the sky. Immediately, a statue of a god appeared. The statue was of a middle-aged man, and his entire body was suffused with brilliant violet gold divine light. He was around 300 m tall, had a clear outline, and carried a dense ancient aura. The eyes of the statue were even brighter, as if they were the eyes of God. They seemed to be able to see through everything and see through the origin of heaven and earth. The one-armed old man was dumbfounded. The statue in front of him was exactly the same as the statue of Emperor Qin in the Land of Inheritance. And this statue was also holding a broken sword in its hand. Although it was just a broken sword, it felt as if the world would be shattered if the sword was swung down. Old bastard, you should feel honor because this is the first time I'm using the third move. The inner demons laughed and then suddenly shouted, "Kneel before me." His words were the law. The statue released a shocking emperor's aura, and it was like a tide that covered the sky and earth, instantly covering hundreds of miles of the sea. Not only the one-armed old man, but even Wang Zicheng and the others also felt a pressure from the depths of their souls. Plop! Wang Zicheng and the others were the first to kneel in the void. They didn't want to kneel, but they just couldn't control themselves. Plop! The one-armed old man gritted his teeth and held on for a few breaths before finally kneeling down. What a terrifying emperor's aura! He was shocked. He felt that the statue was like the return of an ancient emperor, whose aura was inviolable. See, that's the difference between you and me. The inner demons looked down at the one-armed old man with disdain. The one-armed old man flew into a rage out of humiliation. Little bastard, I swear that I'll tear you to pieces today. He raised his head and roared. Accompanied by a deafening sound, a halberd rose from his back. He didn't dare to hold back and decisively activated his fighting soul. The halberd was more than 100 feet long, and it was shining with a silver light, releasing a destructive aura and a sharp edge. Bastard, go to hell! Slash! The one-armed old man's eyes were filled with hatred. He roared hysterically, and the halberd shook the sky and slashed at the inner demons. How dare an ant like you try to compete with the sun and the moon? You're overestimating yourself. Watch carefully, old bastard. What do you mean by a heaven-defying technique? The inner demon snorted with contempt. Then he waved his hand and the statue moved. The statue raised the broken sword in his hand and slashed in the air. Clang! A purple gold sword aura appeared and cut through the sky like lightning. It destroyed the halberd with an unstoppable force. Puff! The one-armed old man's body and mind trembled. Blood spurted out from his mouth, and his old face was filled with disbelief. How could it be so strong? This was too ridiculous. Even if it was a deity technique, it might not be comparable to the dragon god technique. The inner demons mocked, "Old man, hurry up and beg for mercy. As long as you kneel down and call me grandpa, I'll spare your life." "Little bastard, don't be so smug," the one-armed old man sneered. "Judging from your tone, you seem to have other tricks up your sleeve? Don't be long-winded. Show me everything." The inner demons crossed his arms in front of his chest. Both his eyes and his posture were filled with contempt. "I don't have any other tricks up my sleeve, but don't forget your current situation." The one-armed old man sneered. "Situation?" The inner demons was slightly taken aback. He asked curiously, "What situation? Tell me." The one-armed old man said, "Not only the main tower, but even the trading pavilion is looking for you. If I expose your true identity, what do you think will happen to you?" "So that's what you're talking about. But do you have the chance to expose yourself?" The inner demons looked at him playfully. "Haha," the one-armed old man couldn't help but laugh and said, "I admit that you're very strong. Even I am not your opponent. But if you want to keep me here or kill me, you'll never be able to do it." "Really?" The playful look on the inner demon's face became even more intense. "What do you think? I'm a 7-star combat emperor, and you're a 3-star combat emperor. We both have perfect supportive skills. If I want to leave, do you think you can stop me?" "Little bastard, just wait for your despair." The one-armed old man laughed and used his perfect supportive skills. He turned around and left. "Sigh. You're too confident. The one who will despair is not me, but you. Innate divine ability, Emperor Divine Prison." The inner demon shook his head. The purple gold dragon soul appeared, and an invisible force surged out in all directions like a flood. The one-armed old man was immediately imprisoned in the void. His eyes were wide open in anger. The inner demon stepped on the dragon soul and landed in front of the one-armed old man. The statue also followed. The broken sword was placed against the one-armed old man's neck. The bone-piercing sharpness made the one-armed old man shiver. The inner demon said indifferently, "Speak, who is the person behind you?" "Purple gold dragon soul." When he saw the purple gold dragon soul under the inner demon's feet, the one-armed old man's eyes trembled. The inner demon shouted, "I don't have time to waste with you. Speak quickly." The one-armed old man's heart trembled. He looked at the inner demons and shook his head with a smile. "I have to admit, you're really an amazing young man." The inner demons raised his eyebrows. "Let me finish."